Logan Webb had a rough one tonight, a rough first inning, and then he figured it out. He was all off mechanically tonight. You could just kind of see the way he was finishing. If you watched real close, after he threw a pitch, he was kind of falling all over the place. It's almost like a hitter. There's so many correlations between hitting and pitching. If you watch a hitter that's well balanced throughout the swing, like a lot like a Lamont Wade Jr., when he's got his legs underneath him, he swings and he's right there after this big, huge swing, and he's standing exactly where he started. That's balance and base throughout your swing. When you see a pitcher that keeps his head over the rubber and all of a sudden his hand and his shoulder, everything's closed, and then when he lands, he's in a good fielding position, almost like Lamont Wade Jr. when he pitches, or hits, then you realize the mechanics are there. But Logan Webb was flying open, kind of spinny, yanking his off-speed across the plate to righties, and he just never looked mechanically correct to me tonight. He was having trouble repeating his delivery. He gave up the 5 runs in the first inning. And there were some hits in there. I have no idea, by the way, why with Varsho up, and I think it was Brandon Belt on second base and 1 out, that Lamont Wade Jr. was playing in for the bunt, and Varsho hit a chopper over his head. That's a situation where you're not going to bunt with a runner on second and 1 out. And Wade was playing in the baseline. It was a chopper over his head. I thought it was a big play in the game. And, that's a situation where the first baseman should be way back. And if you want to bunt there in first and third, well, so what? But nobody, and I mean nobody, bunts with a runner in scoring position and 1 out that early in the game in the first inning. So I thought that was really odd positioning by Lamont Wade Jr. I took a note of it. But the 6 hits allowed by Logan Webb in the first inning are the most he's allowed in a first inning of any start in his career. The 5 runs allowed was a career high for Webb in the first inning. So, I mean, he locked it in after that, but the damage was already done. And when you're on the road, in a place like that, I think what I took from tonight's game is, you spend a lot of energy winning 10 games on the road. It's going to be a clunker when it happens. But I think it showed me how great the shutout was last night. It was only the second time the Blue Jays have been shut out all season long last night. And was anybody else going like, and this is so weird, was anybody else going like, I wish it was a bullpen game tonight? I wish there was an opener. Like, what the hell's wrong with me? Because I kind of thought that a couple of times. Like, bring in the 4 guys again and bring in the sidewinder and the guy that throws 100 and the elbows and kneecaps and give them different looks. There's something to that, man. And I've never been an opener guy in my life. Never, ever, ever until this year. All of a sudden, I'm buying in because I'm seeing it work. And I think more importantly, whatever the hell the stupid night host at KNBR thinks, it's the guys that are actually doing it are buying it. The bulk guys, Alex Wood, instead of going like, well, I'm a starter, I'm not coming in the second inning, screw that. And maybe there was a time when that happened. I don't know anything about that. But, maybe Sean Manaea's like, I signed to this team to be a starter, screw that. I've seen that happen. Ross Stripley, I signed with this team to be a starter, screw this bulk inning. I'm a reliever tonight, I got to go in the 5th inning. But they're buying in. And I think the fact that they're buying in, they're seeing success, just like we as fans are seeing success with this opener, that all of a sudden, I mean, I'm okay. I'm okay with the opener. Not that, the Giants need my acceptance by any means, but, maybe the old schools get knocked out of me all of a sudden. The new schools kind of see the light on how this can be effective. And then when I go back to, if I had to hit against 4 different guys with 4 different arm angles, lefty, righty, I'm a switch hitter. I'm hitting left one time, right one time. This guy's throwing from here. This guy's throwing down. What the hell's going on? I'm over 4. And I'm drinking Labatt's in the locker room after the game going, what the hell just happened? But that's a good hitting team, and I think they showed you tonight. They had a little luck going on in that first inning, but, Springer 3 for 4. Bichette went 1 for 4. Jansen had 2 hits tonight. Biggio was 1 for 3. It's a pretty good offensive team. I remember seeing these guys a couple of years ago, maybe when they all first came up together, and it was home run after home run after home run. And I'm not seeing that from this team. Vlad's got a little power outage going, Vlad Jr. right now for the Blue Jays, and nobody cares about the Blue Jays around here. We care about the San Francisco Giants. So they lose 6-1 tonight. They go to 45-35 on the year. I was dorking around the scoreboard for a second ago, and I saw the Dodgers were losing. So let me see. Get back to the scoreboard here on my phone. Let's go to the scores. And scrolling through real quick, the Padres are losing 7-1 in the 9th to the Pirates. The Padres can't buy a win. I don't think anybody really feels sorry for them. The Mets are losing again to the Brewers. Their owner today issued a statement. We're going to get into that later in the show and talk about trades. And where did I see that? Yeah, the Rockies are up 4-1 in the top of the 4th. And the Rays and the Diamondbacks just got underway. That's the top of the second, no score. So I'm thinking if the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks lose tonight, it's a push for the Giants. Way too early to be scoreboard watching. I realize that, but it's still fun because we're so excited about this team. If you missed last night's show, you missed one of the greatest shows we've ever had in the night slot. We had nonstop phones, full phone lines for 3 full hours last night. 3 hours, and one would drop, just so you know how it works. I have about 7 slots for calls here, 6 slots. And one would drop, and another call would come right up. And that was straight for 3 hours last night. You guys were incredible. Everybody excited about this ball club. I know tonight was a clunker, but you go on the road, you win a series. Tomorrow's a big game for me because if you could start putting together road series wins consistently, this whole sweeping on the road, it's great. It's not feasible over the long haul. It just isn't. It's hard to win on the road. I know they've been making it look easy lately, like they made World Series look easy in 10, 12, and 14. They've been making winning on the road look really, really easy. So the Giants lose 6-1. Michael Conforto, hamstring tightness. He went for that ball against the wall. He barely hit the wall, and he came out of the game. I'm like, wait, he didn't hit that wall hard. That can't be the wall. That wall's all padded. So he came out of the game. That's cause for concern. Guys can't keep dropping like flies, and you're not going to win. It's a fact. You can only go so deep in your minor league system before you start to feel it. And yeah, I think I talked to Logan Webb after a start last year. I forget which one it was. We were hanging out after the game, and he said his mechanics were all messed up. And he can get a little willy-nilly with his mechanics and wild with them every once in a while. But he's so smart and he's so talented that I'm not worried about him. Are you guys worried about Logan Webb, 808 KNBR? I'm not. He's 7-7 on the year. His ERA is at 3.43. He gave up 5 runs on 8 hits over 5 innings tonight. And I just thought, he was rotational. So what does rotational mean? Like FP, I don't know what rotational means. Rotational means that you're flying open and your delivery is more like a merry-go-round versus a Ferris wheel. So when you're rotational, it's the merry-go-round, right? My front shoulder's flying open. I'm showing my chest to the hitter. My arm slot and my release point are inconsistent, and now the ball is I'm going to try to make up for it at the end and hold on to it longer. I'm going to yank it. I'm not going to have the sink on my fastball that I normally have, because if I keep my front side closed and I'm more like a Ferris wheel and I'm going downhill toward the hitter, now I get my release point out in front, my stride is shorter, and I get the true sink on the baseball. So when you see a guy with a flat sinker, it's the Ferris wheel. He's just like, that ride at the park when you were a kid, you used to run around and jump on and then get real sick and feel like you're going to throw up. You know which one I'm talking. I used to hate that one, by the way. And you hold on for dear life, and then some big kid that already reached puberty would start running around, and then you're going way too fast and you want to barf. That's the rotational windup. You never thought you'd get that analogy on the air, did you? And then, so flying wide open, sinkers flat, off speeds yanked across the plate toward a left-hander. Ferris wheel, which a downhill, like now I'm like the Ferris wheel coming over the top, and here I am out in front. Now I get my sinker. I'm demonstrating this on the radio. By the way, if you're watching streaming, you're getting a good video right now. I could be shirtless and doing it. It'd be even better. But this is, you get out front on top, and then you get the sink on the fastball. You get the snap on the slider, where the slider kind of looks like a fastball. You can't pick up the rotation. And so who am I to coach Logan Webb? The guy's making $90 million. But I'm just saying what I saw from him tonight. It's an easy correct. But when you're in the heat of battle against a good lineup on the road in front of 40,000 people, things get going fast. It's easy to sit at home with my remote control and my feet up on a table going, well, he's a little rotational right now. And then even if you're Andrew Bailey and you go out there, or you're Patrick Bailey and you go out there, either one of the Baileys, and you say, hey, dude, Logan's smart enough to fix it, and he did. After the first inning, he fixed it. He went 4 scoreless after that. Did a really nice job. And he's got enough experience now to fix it. Alex Cobb's another guy that in the heat of battle, 12 years in the big leagues, something's going wrong mechanically. He can fix it. And I thought Logan Webb did a nice job after the first inning tonight. And I don't know, maybe I see things through rose-colored glasses with Logan because I love the kid so much, and he's a Sacramento kid, and I've got to know him over the years. I didn't think it was all that bad. There were some hits that were just finding holes, hits that were dropping, a chopper over Lamont Wade Jr.'s head. I don't know why he was playing in. All of a sudden, you look up, it's the Blue Jays, it's 5-0. So I want to get into a lot of things. I'm going to take a quick break. 808 KNBR, if you want to chime in on the game, you want to chime in on Giants baseball, state of the Giants, anything to do with the Giants, because this is the Giants post-game show for now. I want to get into rookies and how it's a great motivator for others in the minor league system right now. And I want to tell you a lot about the minor leagues. Now, stay with me here. Oh, he's going to talk about the minor leagues at this point. It's not. I'm going to tell you what it takes to get from level to level in the minor leagues. Having coached in the minors and played in the minors more than I did in the big leagues, I have a pretty good idea about it. And I think with all the excitement about the young rookies and what's happening on that corner of 3rd and King right now, that it's going to be a little bit, hopefully, educational and interesting to you guys to know what it takes. We just hear about this guy's in A-ball. This guy's in high A. Well, what's that mean? This guy's in double A. Well, what's double A? This guy's in triple A. We know what level it is, but what does it take to get to that level? What does it take to graduate from that level? What does it take to get all the way from the low minor leagues to the big leagues? Want to chime in on that? Talk about the bulk innings, guys, this bullpen thing, and then just talk to you guys, 808 KNBR. So I'm going to take a quick break right now. We're going to reset, and I see everybody on hold right there. Stay right there. The text messages are rolling in. 808 KNBR. Giants lose 6-1 to the Blue Jays tonight. They go to 45-35, and I'll update you on all the scores from around the National League West tonight on the Sports Leader.
Slater drives one out toward right center field. Going back on it, Varsho. All the way to the wall. It's gone! Up over the right center field wall. Big time. Big time opposite field power from Slater. His second home run of the year. And the Giants are on the board. It's 5-1.
Yeah, he swung the bat well against lefties and righties this year. We've seen that in stretches in the past, and particularly in 21. He was really good against righties for longer stretches, and we know it's in there. He can work a good at bat against either side. He's obviously a good option to play for us while Conforto's not available.
All right, Michael Conforto with the tight hamstring. And we hope he's okay. Let's get to the phone lines, and then I'll get to the minor league stuff once the phones die down. But I don't want to make you guys wait around. I always say it's our show. I love talking to you guys. It was 3 hours of talking to you guys. So much enthusiasm about this ball club last night on the show. I was overwhelmed. And I think it was just so good. And I said this a lot last night, that usually it's when the team loses and they're struggling that the phone lines light up. And it was super refreshing to see you guys out there so excited about this baseball team and what's going on with the Giants right now. And it was... I went home and was calling my family, and they were listening last night and talking to people I love. They're like, it was the greatest show ever. There was full phone lines for 3 hours. You guys were bringing it left and right all night long. Everybody excited about this team. So it's our show. I love talking to you guys. I'm going to get the phones real quick. I know I teased that story going to break about the minor leagues, but we're going to talk about it. But let me get some calls first before we get to it. Bob in Concord, you're leading us off tonight. What's going on, Bob?
Hey, FD, great to talk to you. I really got to say, I really like your sense of humor when you're calling the game with Sean Estes. There was a few weeks ago where Lamont Wade hits the ball first bat, and he gets thrown out at first, and Sean says, like, hey, it's weird not seeing Lamont on first base, and you're like, yeah, bench him. And I just cracked up. It's good I wasn't drinking something at the time.
I think it was Joe Rizzo. I do the games with Joe Rizzo, but yes. I did say that. Yeah, it's like he didn't get on. I said bench him. Maybe even release him. Like the Giants. The Giants lost 6-1 tonight. They suck. Hey, turn down your radio, Bob. Turn down your radio in the background.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we got a big echo going on, and I repeat myself enough on my own. I don't need to hear it in the background. But thanks for yes, yeah. Thanks for the kind words, Bob. That's really sweet of you. I appreciate it. I like to have fun. Baseball's fun. We're in the fun business, and I did it for 11 years back east as a color analyst, and I had fun every single night. And if you watched any Nationals games when I was there, I emulate Mike and Dwayne a lot and copy them a lot, and that's who brought me up, and that's who I learned from. So yeah, I have a good time with baseball. Why wouldn't you? It's a fun sport, and if you take it too serious, you're going to go nuts, especially as a player. I mean, that's why we found humor in almost everything. If you're sitting on the bench every night and you're just grinding and you're just, I'm going to kill these guys. I mean, when I was between the lines, that was me. But like on the days I wasn't playing, I was the guy cracking jokes in the clubhouse, on the bench, keeping everybody loose, having a good time. My strategy was to be such a pain in the ass on the bench that my manager would play me just so he'd get rid of me. Like, yeah, we need him out in the field today. Not next to me, driving me nuts. Let's go to Steve in Bend, Oregon. Steve, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
6-4 LA. Sorry.
I know. I just saw that 6-4 Dodgers. The Diamondbacks were up. The Dodgers scored 6 in the fourth inning. The Diamondbacks were up 4-0, and then all of a sudden Coors Field happened, and then the Dodgers happened. It's 6-4 Dodgers after 4 in Coors Field. So we'll see how that ends up. That's a long way from being over.
I'll be kind of smarmy here. Maybe it'll buy me a little more time to talk to you, but if a radio host is true to himself and true to his fans, you're going to get people that like you and going to call you. Good times and bad times. So just remember that when you go to MLB Network. Remember the little people. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going anywhere for a while. I'm happy being home with my family. So I'm happy talking to you guys every night. Seriously, like whatever's going on in my life, when I get to the studio, this little red light comes on. I'm streaming on the all new KNBR app. I have a great time with you guys. I have fun every single night. And it's because of you guys. It ain't because of anything I'm doing. It's just fun talking to you guys. Did you want to chime in on Conforto tonight? Who's going to replace him, right?
Yeah, actually two things. Yeah, Conforto, and then, I'll go there first. So that's going to hurt. I mean, they were pretty thick for the outfield. Now they're going to have to be creative. He's out for a couple of weeks. A hamstring with an older person is not a good deal. But what would you recommend on how they patch that up?
The hamstring? I think you got to go ice and heat and ice and heat. I'm not a trainer, dude. I know what you're saying. Yeah, and then pray a lot, maybe a few Hail Marys, some rosaries, and then just ice it. And then ice from within. That was always my strategy. Drink a lot of beers and try to ice it from the inside. So you got ice pack on the outside, and then you drink beer, and then the cold beer goes to your hamstring, and then you're icing it both ways. And then, we used to smoke cigarettes and drink whiskey, and that's how we healed things. But now it's a little bit different. They actually have stuff to heal it.
Next comment. Did you hear Murph and Mac this morning?
I did not. I work nights. I think they have the greatest show in the world and the best morning show going. So, my goal every night is that you keep your dial turned to 680 and 104.5. So when you wake up in the morning, you hear those guys. But I rarely get up early enough to see them or hear them, I should say. I guess see them now, streaming too.
Yeah, what Kruko said was every once in a while a minor league player comes up where his hitting is better suited for the majors than it is for the minors. And he talked about Patrick Bailey. He said he goes, once in a blue moon this happens where they don't really light it up and they come up and all of a sudden they blossom with major league pitching. Have you ever seen something like that before?
I lived it, Steve. I was that guy. I was a 250 hitter in the minor leagues, but I hit 245 in the big leagues, but that's because I had some really down years toward the end when my body was failing me. But I thought it was a lot easier to hit in the big leagues than the minor leagues for the sense that, like, the pitchers were around the plate. The backdrops were way better. So you got these big black backdrops or dark green backdrops with tremendous lighting. You see the seams on the baseball a lot earlier. Pitchers around the plate, it's not like they're grenade launchers or it's a snowball fight when you're sitting there going, is he going to hit me with 95 or is he going to paint it on the black? One at your chin, one on the black. In the big leagues, everybody threw in this tiny little box, and it was easier to hit. The wood you had and your bat was better. The facilities to practice with were better. The cages, the scouting reports were better. Everything was better in the big leagues. And I felt like you had so much at your disposal as a Major League Baseball player that you didn't have in the minor leagues. The minor leagues, there might be some cage behind the right field fence that was dirt and like holes in it. And in the L screen, if you flip to each other, you get hit in the face. And so you'd have to decide, do I want to die today or do I want to take my extra hacks? And then you get to the big leagues, and the cages are amazing. There's 18 coaches to throw you BP every single day. The weight rooms are amazing. The travel is amazing. The hotels are amazing. So if you fail at the major league level for lack of work, it's your own fault. So when I got to the big leagues, I saw the baseball like a volleyball. And my bat was like, holy cow, this bat is super hard. It's not breaking every at-bat. It's not just a crappy minor league bat. And you could ambush the league when you first get up, and I did that. I was hitting like 500 after a couple of weeks because nobody knew how to pitch me, and then you got to make the adjustments. But I was that guy, Steve. I felt like it was way easier to hit in the big leagues than the minor leagues, even though you're facing Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson and Tom Glavine and John Smoltz and whomever. It just felt like, I don't know, the batter's boxes were better. As stupid as that sounds, they were made of clay. And when you dug your cleat into clay, your toe hole just stayed there. It wasn't like you were in a minor league batter's box where your foot's sliding all over the place. So I get that 1,000,000%. That's a great point by Mike.
Yeah, well said. So I guess what you're saying is your boss has to spoil you rotten, and then you perform.
Yeah, I need a new speaker here. This one's kind of old. It stinks a little bit. I need better lighting in here for the simulcast we're doing right now, the streaming.
I have one last question. Then I promise I'll go. Okay.
Yeah.
So when a batter is trying to stay at the plate, like for example with Gosner last night, trying to work pitches, do batters work if they get a pitch they can't do anything with? Do they work on fouling off a bad pitch? Or fouling off a pitch to see another one?
No. It's just kind of an emergency hack.
That they foul it off.
It's just an emergency hack where you're trying to spoil something. It's really not. You don't work on fouling balls off. I think it's more of a talent than anything. It's guys with strong wrists and quick hands that can let the ball travel deeper than most. And so they let the ball get deep. They're like, oh, that might be a strike. And they just kind of flick it foul. Jason Giambi was great at it. Anthony Rendon, who I saw in D.C. for many years, was the best I ever saw. He would spoil pitch after pitch after pitch until you made a mistake and then make you pay with a double in the gap. I think it's just a talent thing more than a thing you practice.
They're using a 29-ounce bat or like a lighter bat to do that, or like swinging a phone pole.
No, it's just you just have like strong hands. Guys with strong. Moises Alou was great at it. Strong hands and and you're able to. So a guy like me to hit 96 or 97, I had to generate a lot of body movement, almost like a pitcher winding up, where I would rock backwards, get a big leg kick going, and generate a lot of body to get my barrel out in front to hit that. There was a lot of guys that could stand there flat-footed because they had strong forearms, strong hands, and quick hands that could just sit there still, and their heads would be still. And my teammate JT Snow and I always used to talk about, like, if our head was still and we could see the baseball, we had a chance. And when we didn't have a chance is when our head was moving all over the place, because now your head's moving and the ball's traveling. Now the ball's moving because your head's moving, and it's tough to hit. So, yeah, I don't think guys practice on fouling balls off. It's kind of an innate thing, an innate ability. It's a talent, if you would, a skill based on that you're just probably a better hitter than most. I don't think you see crappy hitters fouling off a lot of balls with 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Great show, FP. We'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
Thanks, Steve. Let's go to Betty and Benicia. Betty, what's going on? How are we doing tonight?
Well, doing good. Listen, the Giants, look, I'm glad for his player. He put us on the board. I'd love it when we get at least one. So that was good. And tomorrow's another day,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, now we're getting little injuries again. So, but Abe he's going to think of something. He's going to come up with something.
Yeah, he's going to put his mad scientist coat on, go back in the clubhouse, and make a Frankenstein right fielder tonight, probably.
Exactly.
He will.
Exactly.
Gabe's got that kind of talent.
Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Betty.
And one thing I want to tell you, thank you for letting Mike go to the game last Saturday. That was wonderful. Just to hear him talk about what it did and everything, that he just loved it, was really worth it for us fans too.
Yeah, hey, he's a wonderful human being. If I could do something to brighten his day, it was my pleasure. It was great to meet him. He's just like everybody else. We have a nice little community here at night with the callers every single night. You guys are the best, and you guys make my day every day. So why wouldn't I take him to a game and sit with him and just talk about baseball? First thing he said is great seats, and I said, how do you know? And then we just started laughing after that because he can't see.
Yeah.
All right, Betty, thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate the call. All right, going to take a quick break. I know I teased the minor league thing, and I will do it on the other side of the break. We got a little sidetracked with the calls. That's my bad. I want to talk about the minor leagues in what A-ball is to high A, what high A is to double A is to triple A, and how you get to the big leagues, because there's so much talk about the minor leagues with all the enthusiasm about the kids for the Giants. So I'll get into that next on the Sports Leader.
No. I feel like if I was giving stuff away, they'd probably hit a couple home runs. You know what I mean? It was, ground ball down the line, bloop down the line. Just, baseball things. Just, not great pitches, not a great execution by me. Not getting into good counts. It's just a bad job by me, to be honest.
I don't think he was tipping his pitches. I just think he was leaving some out over the plate, and the sinker was flat at times. And you have starts like that. Even the best have starts like that. Flush it. Turn the page. What kind of music is this, dude? Am I on the 18th hole of a golf tournament? This is putting people to sleep in their car. All right. Does it get better? But if you're driving your car right now, listening to this rejoinder music, please don't run into a tree because you fell asleep because Tony's like playing sleepy music. Dude, AC/DC, next break. Let's go. Tighten it up. 808 KNBR is the number. All right. I'm going to give you guys a lesson about the minor leagues right now. And this comes from a guy that played in the minor leagues for 7.5 years and coached the minor leagues for a couple more years as a San Jose Giants hitting coach. So when you hear things, we see Casey Schmidt. We're seeing these guys right now. We're seeing Patrick Bailey. We're seeing Ryan Walker. We're seeing Wynn. We're seeing all the fruits of all the staff's labor right now. So all these minor league coaches that don't have a pot to pee in right now, they're not making any money. They're doing it for the love of the game. Their satisfaction, the organization's satisfaction, is when they work all these years and they finally turn on the TV and Kipe and Kruk are calling a game that their kids are playing it. Like, that's the reward. They ain't making no money. They're making $30,000, $40,000, maybe $50,000 a year at the most as a minor league coach. So you're doing it because you love baseball. You're doing it because you want to give back to the game. You're doing it because you get satisfaction out of coaching and watching these guys develop and turn into superstars before your very eyes. So hats off to those guys. I've been there. I've sat in those meetings in Scottsdale. I was in the cages in San Jose as a Giants hitting coach. I managed the San Jose Giants for a couple of months at the end of one season. I know how hard it is. I know how thankless a job it is. And while a lot of coaches are trying to climb that ladder too to get to the big leagues, I think the good ones don't care. The good ones want their players to get there before them. The good ones are so invested in instruction and love for the player to see him get better that they just want to see them on TV. That's the reward. And if by some chance after 5-10 years in the minors, they ask you to become a big league coach, well, great. Then you start to get the benefits. Then you start to get paid a little bit more, not a lot, a little bit more, and you could make a living. And if your team goes to the playoffs and wins the World Series, you get voted a full share. Then you make $350,000, $400,000 from Major League Baseball and the share money. So it's a long road as a coach, it's a thankless job, but their reward is seeing Casey Schmidt hit a home run in his first Major League hit. Their reward is seeing Luis Matos as a 21-year-old running around the campsite, hitting home runs, taking walks when maybe that was, hey, well, you got to tighten it up. You got to command the strike zone. That's the reward, seeing Ryan Walker get to the big leagues. I think it's even more rewarding when it's a kid that you don't expect to get there, that you watch him develop and you had something to do with his success. So, hats off to everybody in the minor leagues that are coaches, not just with the Giants, but around the country. It's a thankless job. It's not the worst job. You're not wallowing. I mean, you're going to a ballpark every day. You're competing as a coach. You're competing to watch your kids succeed. You're competing to watch your team succeed at that level, and you're trying to get them the hell out of there in a good way. Not released, but get to the next level. And then you have a beer and you say, go get it, man. You're ready. How do you get to the next level as a minor league player? So there's low A ball, and high A ball, usually 3. I know they've cut back on the minor league. So let's just say low A ball and high A ball with the Giants. Low A ball, San Jose, Eugene's high A ball. What's the difference? Well, low A ball, you got a bunch of kids that can either play or not play, but they have to graduate to high A ball. High A ball starts to get a little bit tricky, and I thought that was I went right to high A ball from college. And so in college, you face a guy throwing 95 once a week. It's a Friday night pitcher. When you get to high A ball, everybody throws 95, 96, 97 every single night. And all of a sudden, you're facing the best player on every college team you played every single night. And then you swing the bat, and then the guy playing short was the best college shortstop. And it's just, you get in the clubhouse, you're like, well, what did you do? Well, I was All-American this, I was All-American that. I was first-team high school All-American. I mean, everybody in a minor league clubhouse in high A ball has accomplished something. You don't get there just by going to the post office and signing up to play baseball to get to high A ball. So how do you graduate from A ball to high A ball? I used to tell my kids, you got to stand out. You have to show that you're better than this level. How do you show that you're better than this level? If somebody sits in the stands at a given night, they say, oh, I like that kid Tony right there. He can play. Why can he play? Well, he's hustling all over the place. He looks like a baseball player. He's reading balls in the dirt. He's taking walks. He's getting clutch hits. He's standing out. Then all of a sudden you look up after a few 3-4 months and your stats match what scouts are seeing, and you've shown your organization that you're better than that level. Then all of a sudden, well, this guy can help us here. There's organizational guys, too, that bounce around. They fill in where there's a roster spot. But I'm talking about guys that get to the big leagues. How do you matriculate through the minor leagues to get to the highest level? Then you get to high A ball, and that's where 2 or 3 minor league teams kind of converge into double A. That's where it bottlenecks. So I thought signing out of college, learning how to use a wood bat, and then learning how to play 7 days a week was the biggest challenge. You don't play 7 days a week in college. You have a Wednesday, weekday game. You play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In high school, however many games you play, all of a sudden you're playing 7 days a week. Holy crap. Like, how do I do this? Like, the at-bats are coming fast and furious. My 0 for 4s are like 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4. I look up and I'm 0 for 16, and it's only been 4 days. So in that regard, that's an adjustment. Another one is like just getting used to being a professional athlete and having to discipline yourself, to have self-discipline, not to go out too late at night. There's nobody policing you. There's no coach that's going to bench you if you're out too late. There's no curfew. You do whatever the hell you want once you're a professional. So then you have to decide, how bad do I want to get to the big leagues? Do I go out with my friends? Do I stay in at night? And then there's that whole self-discipline thing, because in the minor leagues, guys like to have fun. You guys saw Bull Durham. That's accurate. You go out, you have beers after the game. How many beers is up to you? How disciplined you want to be is up to you. How bad do you want to get to the big leagues is up to you. So all of these things go into going from one level to another. Then you get to double A, and you get the velocity and command on the off speed. A ball's velocity with a little bit of command. Off speed still a work in progress, generally speaking, from pitchers. Then you get to double A, and it's velocity with command, and then it's command of the off speed as well. So now you're knocking on the door when you get to double A. You're facing studs every single night. Like, whoa, this guy throws 98 and he knows where it's going. This guy's got a wipeout slider. I didn't see this first strike last year. He's thrown it for a strike and a ball. I hit a $150 my first half season in double A and thought I was going to get released. And all of a sudden, it started to slow down. I hit about 350 the second half of the season, which added up to 245 average. And I was scheduled to go back to double A. I had a great spring training in triple A, then went to triple A. So to get from double A to triple A, once again, you have to show you're better than that level. And then, you're going from 50 or so jobs to 25 jobs or 26 jobs in double A. So that's when guys start getting left by the wayside. You get released, you get traded. It's time to go work for UPS. It's time to go which is an amazing job. I have tons of friends that have made a career out of that. But hey, the dream, I guess, of being a big leaguer kind of goes to the wayside once you get released, because that's a label that's tough to shake. Then you get to AAA, you're knocking on the door, and it's the same thing. AAA used to be, and I don't know how it is now, it was a super competitive level back in the day. You had to show that you were good enough to get to the big leagues as far as a hitter, as far as a base runner, as far as a defender. You had to be a complete player, and it was hard to get to the big leagues. Thus, AAA was a very competitive level. I mean, I'm playing against Sean Green and Derek Jeter and these guys, Chipper Jones, and they're all in AAA for a time. It's not like Chipper played in AAA for a second, was the big leagues, or Derek either. Like, we saw these guys all season because you had to prove, once again, that you were better than that level to get to the big leagues. I was stuck at that level for 4 years, having productive seasons every year, because the major league level in Montreal had a bunch of young kids. There was nowhere to go. The inn was full. And it didn't matter if a 20th round draft pick like myself that signed for $1,000 was hitting 280 in AAA, when in the big leagues, they had guys that were prospects. So you just keep grinding, you keep fighting, you keep believing in yourself, and all of a sudden you get a chance. So the minor leagues is just basically you're betting on a chance. You're making no money. You're making $800 a month in A-ball for 6 months, not for 12, for 6. That's before taxes. You're making, $900 a month in double A. My first year in triple A, I think I made $1,000 a month, and that was huge. So that's $6,000 a year before taxes. My last year in triple A, so my fourth year in triple A, was never on the 40-man roster, never got put on anything. I was making $2,100 a month. So times 6, what is that? I don't know, $12,600 a year before taxes, whatever it is. And then you go ask your minor league director for a raise, like I want $100 a month raise, and they're like, no. And you heard the stories with Joe Siddle the other night where we used to have a cup of soup for lunch with just in a styrofoam cup at spring training. We would wait in line, almost like we're in prison. I don't know what prison lunch is like, but we would wait in line and you get there and there would be a ladle and the trainer would put the ladle in a styrofoam cup, just a normal styrofoam coffee cup of soup. And the pitchers would get there early. They would take the noodles. So basically we had broth by the time we got there. But it was all based on getting a chance. So when you see a guy like Casey Schmidt get called up and you see a guy like Patrick Bailey get called up, this is tons and tons of work behind the scenes. This is dealing with adversity in every level you go. This is the families dealing with adversity and living and dying through your adversity. So we see the finished product when they get to San Francisco. It's super cool. We saw the shots of Casey Schmidt's family. I think it was a Wynn's family, Keaton Wynn's family the other day where I was on the radio and I couldn't look at the monitor because they were all crying. And it took me back to my call up. And you see the emotion pouring out of these families because they've lived and died with every little step of the way, whether it was high school, whether it was college, whether it was A-ball, AA, the injuries, the rehabs, the ups, the downs, all that these kids have gone through. So we're all excited right now in this fan base because of the development, the hard work that the minor league system has done, the scouting, the development, the coaching. We see the finished product, the players, the grind, the bus rides, the 10-hour bus rides, staying in crap hotels. And then we see the finished product. But I just want to get into that tonight so we all just don't forget or maybe didn't know what it takes to become a Major League Baseball player from the lowest levels of the minor leagues. We just see these guys and we're like, well, he was in San Jose last year and he made it all the way. What does that mean? What does that even mean? And I guarantee you there's a lot of you guys listening right now in your cars are like, I didn't know that. And that's fine. You really shouldn't. I mean, there's not a lot of fans out there that are minor league baseball fans. There's not a lot of fans out there that really know what we go through to get to where we've gotten. And, you know, unless you're a Bryce Harper or a Prodigy and you never set foot in the minors or you're like Buster or Ryan Zimmerman, good for those guys. There's no hard feelings. Like, tip your cap. Like, you're that good that you can just scoot through the minors and go right to the bigs and have a wonderful career. It's not like, oh, that guy's, well, that's BS. No, we used to celebrate those guys. Like, good for you that you're that talented. But most of us, maybe not as long as I did, spent 4 or 5, sometimes 6 or 7 like I did in the minor leagues. And it's kind of a grind to get there. And then once you're there, you got to work even harder to stay there. And like I said, going back to my initial point, if you can't stay in the big leagues, it's your own fault, man. There's every facility, everything's at your fingertips. There's coaches, one-on-one. Hey, let's go hit. Okay. And I mean, you just have everything that you need to be successful at the major league level. So 808 KNBR, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks for listening to that. It was fun to kind of relive that. Ben Wagner, he's a voice of the Toronto Blue Jays on Sportsnet Radio 590 and Sportsnet TV. He's a friend of my buddy Joe Siddle, and he's going to break down the game with us tonight. We're going to talk a little Blue Jays baseball, talk about the Giants and the Blue Jays tonight. So Ben Wagner join us live from Toronto coming up next on the Sports Leader.
0-2. Swing and a miss. Another fastball, another strikeout for Kevin Gausman.
Ben, that's now 7 strikeouts off the fastball today. That's one off Kevin Gausman's not season high. He's cleared the season high now. That is one off his career high for strikeouts with the fastball in a game.
And a milestone for the Blue Jay right-hander, 1,500 career strikeouts. Gausman turns around, sees it emblazed here at Rogers Center. He's getting a nice ovation. He discards the baseball for safekeeping. Points off towards the Rogers Center crowd, who's embracing the moment with him. Gestures over towards the San Francisco Giants. They're applauding as well.
Well described by my first guest tonight, Ben Wagner. He's the voice of the Toronto Blue Jays on Sportsnet Radio, Fan 590, Sportsnet TV. He's a friend of one of my best friends, Joe Siddall, and we're wearing out all the Blue Jays broadcasters this week. So we had Joe on the other night. Now we have Ben on tonight. Ben, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's nice to be in the pecking order with Joe Siddall. That's high acclaim. I appreciate that.
Well, Joe and I we were teammates for years with the Expos back in the day. We came up through the minor league system together, and he's one of my dear friends. And we just got going on the air the other night, and it was like two guys talking, and I don't know, we didn't even get to the Jays and the Giants. We were talking about Felipe Alou and the minor league days and coming up in A-ball with the Expos and just having a real good chat. Ben, you do a great job, man. I've watched you progress through the years just because of Joe and paid attention to the Blue Jays, and obviously the only team in Canada after the Expos left. But, I mean, you started out, as a radio host, and then you got into the booth, and you started doing like an inning here of play-by-play, and then it's kind of gravitated into what you're doing right now, right?
Well, yeah, that's, I guess if you were to give the Reader's Digest version, it's something that with the Toronto Blue Jays specifically, I was a minor league guy. I wanted to climb every rung on the ladder, much like the players, much like you and Joe wanted to do in your career, right? You're going to go from A-ball to AA to AAA, and then maybe if you are able to conquer this mountain and make it to the major leagues, that was my goal as well. So at 22 years of age, I marched into the baseball winter meetings in New Orleans, Louisiana, armed with tapes and resumes. I think I had like 50 or 75 of them. And of course, there were only 3 jobs open. So I had a lot of CDs and I had a lot of paperwork to take back with me. But you know what? I landed a job out of that opportunity. I went to Lakewood, New Jersey. I started in A-ball. That then blossomed to an opportunity to interview with AAA Buffalo. And Buffalo had a couple of different affiliations over my tenure there. But then Buffalo got affiliated with the Toronto Blue Jays. And in 2013, my life started to change, even though I didn't know it. The relationships, the banter back and forth with our station, with Jerry Howard, a longtime broadcaster and a California native. Jerry Howard was here, and he brought me in 2017 when there was a need to fill in. And that honestly was my first audition and really long look at the Major League life. So that gave me an opportunity to broadcast Major League Baseball. And when you know it, a year later, Jerry retires. And I feel like I still won the lottery getting to do Major League Baseball every day.
That's such a good story, Ben. Yeah, I sold you way short. And all the reps you've had, the minor leagues, had to help you in the big leagues. And I don't know if you know this, Ben, but after being an analyst in D.C. on TV for 11 years, I'm back here in San Francisco, and I'm learning play-by-play on the radio. And the Giants have been nice enough to let me do about 20 games so far as a former baseball player doing the play-by-play. It's been a big-time challenge, and I thank them for the challenge. I love a challenge, but it's something where it's a lot, and you have to be descriptive, and there's a lot of numbers, and there's counts, and there's a thing called the score and the inning, and all of these things that like you probably made your mistakes in A-ball, and now you're on one of the best broadcasts in baseball. So it's been fun for me, but I always love to hear the stories. I'm doing games with Joe Rizzo, who's the San Jose Giants broadcaster, does a really good job, a great job, I should say, when we do the games together. So it's just kind of cool to have another guy on that's really worked hard to get there, and maybe pick your brain on the most important things when you're doing play-by-play on the radio.
You know what? We are given a canvas every night, whether it's different when you're on television, right? When you're providing these little captions and these pictures appear, and you want to just weave it all together on how the pictures work with what is happening in terms of the action. On baseball, we have nothing but a blank slate. Every night you walk to the microphone and you own one of the most powerful things in the world, and that is an open microphone with a blank canvas. And what is just the beauty of baseball and the stories that are within a given game, within a given series, within a given week, a month, right? Like if you look at the San Francisco Giants, there's a greater story than just them coming to Toronto for the first time in 2019. There is their success on the road. There's their recent success being one of the best baseball teams performance-wise and winning ball games, because that's what it's about, and what they've been able to do with a lot of rookies, with a lot of injuries over the last month. So you try to weave all this stuff together and also remind people every couple of minutes that there is a score in the game, and you know, there might be a flashy play here or there, or an eruption in terms of the Blue Jays, who had not been a great team in the first inning all season long, let alone runners in scoring position. So, you know, you let the game dictate where your broadcast goes, and you just try to be as prepared as humanly possible and see if it all can come together over the course of, I would say, 3 hours, but with the pitch clock, that certainly changed. And with tonight, and the amount of strikes that we saw, only 2 hours and change, which is an amazing thing.
Yeah, but that makes my radio show longer, so that was not an amazing thing. It was for you, but not for me. Talking to Ben Wagner, voice of the Blue Jays. Nice enough to join us tonight. So the 5-run first, you know, we did this whole, I had a victory lap show last night. I had full phones for 3 hours. Everybody calling about the Giants' 10th consecutive road win. You know, the most in San Francisco franchise history since the 1952 New York Giants. So we were having fun last night, but I knew it was only the second time the Blue Jays had been shut out. And you knew they were going to come back fighting tonight, and they did. They were ready to hit in the first inning. They scored 5 runs. So talk about maybe the Jays' offense this year. I was talking to Joe about it, and he was kind of unsure. I don't know what to think about it. What's your thoughts on the Jays' offense so far this year?
You know, with the additions of Kevin Kiermaier, Dalton Varsho, Brandon Belt, who Giants fans know, over the last 12 years, I wondered where the Blue Jays would find their identity. I'll start with Brandon Belt because, of course, he's close to home for so many of your listeners. Brandon Belt was slow out of the gate. He had a delayed – I won't say he was injured, but there was a delayed approach to spring training with Brandon. That's why his April numbers, until he got his at-bats, which he fell about 35 at-bats behind where he wanted to be at the end of spring training. He dealt with a virus issue that was bouncing around the clubhouse. So from Brandon Belt's perspective, somebody that they wanted to have a key spot, a left-handed bat, where the Blue Jays wanted to get more balance in their lineup, and Brandon Belt was the guy that they really targeted. And his approach at the plate early on was behind everybody else because he just didn't get the bats and the reps through spring training that he wanted. And like I said, you know, you fall 35, 40 at bats shy and trying to get your timing down and your rhythm. That's a significant amount. And then he was trying to do it on the fly on the rotation around Vladimir Guerrero Jr., some other guys that were getting early reps. That in a microcosm is also the story of a number of other Blue Jays where this utility role, this cycle of outfielders, this attempt to preserve Kevin Kiermaier in his early 30s, George Springer now knocking on the door of his mid-30s, Dalton Varsho, what are you going to get? How are you going to use him as well in the outfield? Offensively first, because the Blue Jays were expected to drive home a lot of runs, what are these other new role players going to be and balance out this lineup? Well, the Blue Jays certainly have never found their offensive stride, and I wondered what their identity would be. And their identity to this point has been they have the ability to manufacture some big innings and not lean on the big home runs over the course of the season. But there are moments that this lineup completely disappears from an attack standpoint and then from an execution standpoint. And runners in scoring position has been their albatross for the first now almost 3 months of the regular season. We're halfway through the year, and the Blue Jays just have not been able to capitalize like they did tonight, going, you know, with all those base hits and with runners in scoring position, whatever it was, 6 for 13, I think, in the game. May have shortchanged in one way or the other. But that's not the case with this offense. And this offense has a guy that might have more hits in the American League for a third consecutive year in Bo Bichette, a guy that was just a runner-up to the MVP 2 years ago behind Shohei Ohtani, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They've got George Springer, who is an elite leadoff man, can drive the ball out of the ballpark, and we really haven't seen the best of George Springer since he became a Blue Jay. There's been some health concerns. There's been inconsistency at the plate. So ultimately, at the end of the day, what are the Toronto Blue Jays offensively? I don't know. They've got a ton of potential, but yet we have not seen it fire on all cylinders at any given point. And it's not necessarily one person's problem or the fault of one thing individually, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the middle of this lineup certainly changes everything. He's an elite hitter, bat-to-ball contact. When he makes good swing decisions, he is, of course, as locked in as anybody and as dangerous as anybody to all fields. He drives the ball the opposite way. He sprays line drives all over the ballpark. And, of course, when Vladdy's batting number 3 or number 4 kind of is a new thing for him, he is certainly the threat in the middle of the order. And to this point in the season, he has just not been that threat, and that has had the ripple effects.
Yeah, watching him swing the last 2 days, so what do I know? You're there every day and you watch him swing versus when I saw him last year, his bat looks slower to me. I don't know why. Like when he used to swing, it was so violent. It was so quick.
Yeah.
Even when he swung and missed, I'd flinch because he's like Felipe Alou used to say, he's a dangerous hitter. Like he doesn't, I don't know if it's his body language at the plate. I don't know if it's his vibe that I'm seeing because sometimes I see too much on the field. He just doesn't look like that dangerous, confident, cocky hitter. And I feel like his swing's a tick off mechanically. I might be wrong, though.
You know, I talk to people, and we've got a couple of great guys that have kind of ingrained themselves from a historical standpoint, but also a mentorship standpoint. Edwin Encarnacion and Victor Martinez have been around the Blue Jays the last year, and there's no coincidence. You know, as Vladdy presses, as Vladdy tries to search out and find finally the right rhythm, turn things around, these guys have emerged this past homestand. And the most important person in this entire scenario putting pressure on himself is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think that's the biggest problem. He is searching for something at the plate right now, and he's expanded the zone way more than he ever has. But, you know, for you watching, and you're right, I mean, when Vladdy's going, he's a bad, bad man. He is nasty at the plate. You can't get anything by him when he's locked in. With Vladdy specifically, the hands are quick, and then that lower half just absolutely creates tremendous bat speed and explosion off of the barrel of the bat, and it just hasn't been synced up. It's close. We have seen it in flashes, maybe one at bat here or there, but we have not seen a week, let alone the month that he put together a couple of years ago, and raise the expectations on himself too. With his change in physique, with his change in approach. It's in there. It is certainly in there. We have seen it, again, in flashes, but it just hasn't been able to be authored on the field for any sort of longevity.
Yeah, I mean, his bat was quicker than he used to eat ice cream cones in the Expos locker room after the games when he was a little kid. He was the fattest little kid running around in the clubhouse, and we used to love him, man. And my son has stories about how there was a soft serve vanilla ice cream cone machine. Yeah, and it was all the kids would go for it after the game. It was a free for all, and I still remember Vlad's kid, and we would joke because he was chubby, man. And Vlad Senior was just like lean, thoroughbred, the great athlete, could hit any pitch, had a cannon for an arm, and here's this kid running around the clubhouse, this little fat kid, and we loved him, and he was so cute. Now he's one of the best players in baseball. Talking to Ben Wagner.
He's one of the best.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, plus, I mean, we have to remember, too, we're talking about a guy that's 23, 24 years of age still, right? Like, the body for him is still going to mature. I don't think he's ever going to be as svelte as what his dad looked like on the field of play, right? He's just not that body type. But he is still going to mature, and he's going to have this man's strength emerge over the next couple of years versus what we've seen over the last couple of seasons with Guerrero. And you know, he's still not where he is going to be as an overall adult. And it's really interesting to think about, okay, once he figures it out, after he doesn't even have 5 full seasons in the major leagues. What's he going to look like 2 years from now when, as a maturity standpoint, comfortability standpoint, where is he going to be as he progresses? And that to me is the most encouraging thing, because when you talk to players, right, and you've been around a million veterans, some guys it takes 6, 7, 8 years before they really feel like they're comfortable in their routine and they find something that works for themselves. So I still believe Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is an absolute elite offensive threat, and he right now belongs to the Toronto Blue Jays.
He's fun to watch. You know what was fun to watch last night? A bunch of Canadians down in 57,146 hot dogs at the ball game for a loony. Unbelievable. We used to have dollar hot dog nights in Montreal, and we didn't even know we'd run out of the dugout and look up and like, why is there so many people tonight? And then somebody would eventually say like, oh, it's dollar hot dog night. So the Canadians love their hot dogs.
They love a bargain. They certainly do. And a toonie is 2 and a loony is 1. And you walk up to the concession stand, and this is no joke. You know, you might have 30,000 people in the ballpark, and a fraction of them are consuming the hot dogs en masse. You look up at the ticker, and there's 60,000 hot dogs being consumed, and you're like, how is this even humanly possible that somebody can consume this many hot dogs when you have to go to the concession stand? You have to order 4 at a time. So they're already dipping into your pocket, plus a tip. You're out $5 when you go to the concession stand. So, you know what? It is a yeoman's effort. Anybody that takes this venture on to come here and consume dogs.
Ben, I got to ask you this on the way out. Can you sing the national anthem, the Canadian national anthem, in French? I know it wire to wire in French. I don't know one word of French, but by osmosis over the years, listening to it before the game, I know I can sing the Canadian national anthem in French, wire to wire.
That's a beautiful thing of being in Montreal for so long. So the good job out of you. I only get a verse here or there, and not every night at Rogers Center do you even get the full version in French. So, unfortunately, I cannot. I bow in envy to you, knowing it wire to wire in Francais.
I'm not going to do it right now. I'll do it later in the show. It's a tease. But, le carton bras, c'est porte l'épée, il sait porter la croix. I can do the whole thing in French.
You're nearly on tune, too. I couldn't even get that far.
Well, you know, in Ottawa, when I played in Ottawa for 3 years in AAA for the Expo, so I'm half Canadian, Ben. In Ottawa, it would be like, you know, since it's Ontario, it would be half English, half French, mostly all English. You know, you do one verse English, one verse French, one verse English, one verse French. And now in Montreal, I think it was almost all Canadian. So I knew what the words were, and then I would just pay attention every night. And I, you know, over the years, what was it, 7 seasons in Canada, I learned it in French.
Wow.
I mean,
I have something to attain. There you go.
Ben, thanks for your time, man. I just a little humble brag on the way out about my days in Canada. I miss it up there, dude. I love Canada. I love everybody up there. It's a wonderful country, as you know, wonderful people that love to have fun. They love their baseball. They don't get enough credit for being great baseball fans, but even in Montreal with losing their team, wonderful baseball fans. And the Canada Day games on July 1st in Toronto in what was Sky Dome will always be a big memory for me as a player. So say hi to everybody in Canada, Ben, and thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Sure, certainly will, and I'll rattle the cage of Joe Siddle on the way out, too.
Yeah, tell him FP wore me out for 18 minutes on the air last night. Thanks, Ben.
That's a done deal. You got it, FP.
Thanks, dude. That's great stuff. From Ben Wagner, he's the voice of the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, coming up next, let's get back to the phones. I miss you guys. It was fun last night rapping with all of you all night long. So if you're out there, a little KNBR roll call. If you're out there, you're listening, 808 KNBR is a number. Call the show. The Dodgers just had a 5-run fifth. They're up 9-6. Who cares? The Giants are going to beat the Dodgers. The Giants are going to finish ahead of the Dodgers. The Giants are going to win the National League West. You're here to hear it first. Trust me on this one. There's going to be the trade deadline deal that's going to rock everybody's socks is a guy named Kyle Harrison getting called up from AAA. That's going to be your trade deadline deal. But I want to get into trades. I thought of one today. A lot of people liked it on Twitter. A lot of people hated it on Twitter. I'm going to tell you my trade idea coming up next on The Sports Leader.
I think there's a scattering report on everybody, to be honest with you. There's so much information now that they know what I'm going to throw. It's just about executing it, and I know what they're good at hitting, right? I just didn't do a good job at that, right?
All right, Giants lose 6-1 tonight. Not a big deal. They're not going to win every road game again, but last night we took a victory lap. 10 consecutive road victories, the most in San Francisco history, the most since the 52 New York Giants. When you start talking about stuff like that, you're talking about historic wins and what this team is about this year. And I said this last night, so if you heard it, I apologize for repeating myself. I know guys are, and everybody's in and out of their cars a lot. This team's grindy, and I think that's the word that Jock Peterson used, and I think Gabe Kapler said gritty. And when it has the infusion of youth with veterans, and we see guys doing well like Patrick Bailey, like Casey Schmidt. I thought Casey had a decent game tonight. I love watching him throw from shortstop, like whatever he's doing at the plate. But he had some better at-bats tonight. And I've talked about it at length of what he needs to do, be about being patiently aggressive. That's the term I used to use as a hitting coach, meaning you're looking for one pitch in one spot, and until you get that pitch, you get off your A swing on your A pitch. And if you're a young player out there listening, you're looking in one spot and you get that spot, come unglued, baby. We're trying to do some damage when you get that. Get to 2 strikes, then you just fight. Stick your nose in the dirt and fight. Stick other parts in the dirt too and fight. But that's just what you do as a major league hitter. But when you talk about this team, and I think why there was so much excitement last night, like I went home, I couldn't get to sleep. I've never been part of a radio show like that. And don't forget, I was here in 2010 when the Giants won their first World Series. And I was coming on every night after playoff games, after winning the NLDS, after winning the NLCS, after winning the World Series. I was the first one on KNBR and all those things. After they did the post-game wrap, it was me. I couldn't keep it together on the night they won the World Series. In 2010, I was getting choked up on the air because growing up a Giants fan, seeing all the Giants like Will Clark and Willie Mays and Bobby Bonds and Barry Bonds and all the Giants that played in San Francisco that never won a World Series, I started the show off that it was all for them. And when you see, the hard work that had went into that season and how this fan base was so just, I don't know, it was so organic then. And there's nothing like the first time. Then all of a sudden, 12 and 14 happened, which was way cool too. And then, 2021 happened with the 107 wins. But what I saw last night from our fan base was really, really cool. And it took me back to 2010. You guys were so fired up last night. Maybe you're feeding off my energy. I came on and I said, I know it's a 3-0 win, but there was something about that win that reminded me of October baseball. And that's how you win games in the month of October. You score a run, you hold on for dear damn life. And then if you can add on 1 or 2 at the end, great. But that was, I don't know about the atmosphere last night because it's more of a hot dog thing, I think, in Toronto with a big crowd. But the type of win it was with the bullpen just absolutely dealing. You saw that that's a tough team to shut out tonight, right? And how big that shutout was last night and how the Giants just shoved. And it took me back to 2010 with the enthusiasm from the fan base on the phone lines last night. The quality win with what Patrick Bailey did and everything. And I started to think, like, during commercial breaks last night, like, why are we resonating? Why does this team resonate with us so much? Why are we so excited about the 2023 San Francisco Giants? The atmosphere at the ballpark during the homestand was different. The electricity was tangible the whole last homestand. Everyone's talking about the numbers are up. I don't care about the numbers. I'm sure the Giants do, but I don't. I care about the quality of the crowd. I've seen 20,000 be louder than 40,000. The 39,000 or the 40,000 that were there this homestand were into every single pitch. You guys were cheering for things to happen. It had an East Coast vibe. So I'm thinking during the commercial break, so not a lot of show prep, right? But I'm thinking during the commercial break last night, like, why are we as Giants fans so fired up about this team? Is it the kids? Is it we're finally seeing the faces to go with the names and they're successful? Is it the bullpen, who wasn't great early and now is maybe one of the best bullpens, if not the best bullpen in baseball? Is it the starting rotation? Is it the defense? It isn't, I don't think. And correct me if I'm wrong at 808 KNBR if you want to chime in. and give me your thoughts on why you love this team so much, because I know you do. It's evident that you do based on what we're doing here on the show and what I'm seeing at the ballpark every day when I go. Here's what I came up with, and you can call BS on this if you want. You can tell me I'm full of crap, but this is what I came up with. They're grindy. They're gritty. And that's what we are as Northern Californians. That's what we are in this region, right? We're hard hat, lunch pail, minus all you tech nerds out there that are billionaires. We're hard hat. I had to take a shot, didn't I? We're hard hat, lunch pail. We're like the coastline. We're like the sidewalk on the Embarcadero where they have those sausage things and it's turning black. Like all the ingredients in the sidewalk. It's foggy. It's cold. It's summer, but it's not. We used to go to Candlestick Park and sit in the bleachers. Now we have a beautiful ballpark, but we're still gritty. They are us. They come from behind. They battle. They fight. They scrap. They claw. Just like we do as San Franciscans, just like we do in the Bay Area. And I think that, and it might be too deep and too emotional. I'm an emotional Italian man. You tell me I'm full of crap. But I think that's what's resonating with me, at least, more than anything right now with this ball club. And living in the city for the first time in my life, I lived in this region a lot, but like living downtown San Francisco and the horrible rap this town has unfairly around the country. When you live here, yeah, we have our warts. Yeah, could it be better? But like everything into the melting pot that is San Francisco, all the ingredients, and you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to get specific with the poop bombs on the sidewalk, but like all the ingredients that go with this, it's gritty. It's grindy. The sidewalks are gritty. The sidewalks are grindy. The coastline is gritty. The coastline is beautiful, but it's grindy. Like that's what we are. And that's what we're seeing in this team and all the other things I said. And winning doesn't hurt, right? If you win, people are going to come. But the enthusiasm from this club, we as Giants fans are starving for a superstar right now. We are so, it's, Buster left. Like, well, who is it now? I don't know. It says this guy, is it that guy? I don't want names. We're starving. And then here comes Casey Schmidt. We're dying to wrap our arms around somebody, go out and buy a jersey. We're dying to fall in love with these guys like we fell in love with Cody Ross and Tim Lincecum and Brian Wilson and as crappy as it sounds to say right now, Aubrey Huff at the time before he turned crazy. Like all this stuff, like that was our team, and a young Buster Posey and a young Madison Bumgarner. We're just like, this is the greatest. Fear the beard. I told you that story about my friends at a Halloween party. They were girls and they had Hooters outfits on, and they put wigs in their pants, and they had on their Hooters shirts it said "Fear the Beard," and they had the wigs hanging out of their orange dolphin Hooters shorts because that's how popular Fear the Beard was. One of the best costumes I've ever seen, by the way. But yeah, we're falling, if not have already fallen in love with the 2023 Giants. So these are my reasons. I want to hear your reasons at 808 KNBR. Let's go to Dollar Bill. Dollar Bill, you're on the Sports Leader. What's going on, Dollar Bill?
FP, man. Aloha. I'm on my way to Hawaii, so I figured I'd chime in before I leave.
Dude, that's good stuff, man.
Okay.
Where, before we get to your points, where are you going in Hawaii?
We're going to Maui.
Are you staying at the White Lotus?
No, we got an Airbnb in Wailea, I think.
That's awesome,
I've never been,
dude.
so
You've never been?
I've only been, well, I mean, I've been to the Pro Bowl on a drunken weekend in Oahu a couple of times, but I don't know if that's really considered Hawaii because I barely remember any of it. It was fun. But it's not couples Hawaii. So
that's cool. You're gonna have fun. So what do you think? Why is everybody in love with this team, and why is everybody so excited about this team?
The answer is yes. All of the above what you were talking about. I'm a Mets fan. You guys, well, and I'm a Giants fan when they're not playing the Mets. But what I love about the Giants, this Giants team, is they're what I always wish the Mets would be, which is a good mix of seasoned veterans, guys who came up from the farm. You know, they got a couple of scrappers that are, journeymen that just kind of make things work. Not all on the same night, but everybody's grinding. As you said, everybody's just doing their part. There is, I think someone called last night and was talking about I think it was the bro, the guy who couldn't said bro 15,000 times, where he was talking about the MVP of last night's game, and he said basically half the team. But in a sense, that is what the Giants are. They have 6, 7, 8 MVPs, and everybody's pulling the sled. And that's what I love about the Giants.
They have a lot of All-Stars, Dollar Bill. They also have a lot of Mets, so that's probably like them too, whether it's J.D. Davis, Conforto, Wilmer Flores. Who else? There's somebody else I'm leaving out. But they get to go to New York. And did you hear what Cone said today? I don't know, whatever. You can't buy a championship, dude. I'm taking like delight in the fact that the Padres suck and the Mets suck right now because you can't win a pennant in December. And I tweeted that today. If you follow me on Twitter @FightinHydrant, I said the Padres and the Mets won the offseason. The Giants didn't. How's that going?
Yeah. They say the same thing about there's so much excitement for the Jets. And I'm like, not to get too much into, I know we're talking about baseball, but it's the same thing. I'm like, listen, I've seen this movie before. We got Brett Favre, a Hall of Fame, and what happened? He was injured after 6 games. We missed the playoffs, and he was gone after 1 year. And it's not easy being green. That's the essence of being a Mets and a Jets fan. You can't buy a championship. And that's what I love about the Giants organization. They're not overpaying for anything. They just got a bunch of scrappers that are always willing to do grind out a base hit. And I love that.
All right, Dollar Bill. Thanks, dude. Have fun in Maui, man. Have a good time. Don't get bit by a tiger shark. All right, stay on the beach. Don't get in the water. You have a 0% chance of getting bit on the beach. Full phone lines. You guys are amazing. Going to get to them all. The 650 chiming in. Man, FP, you hit the nail on the head. Living in the city, the constantly berating we get unfairly, and to an extent, like you said, warts are warts. But we will bounce back, and that's what the city needs. Gritty, resilient, whatever you want to call it. Get deep with it. It's that for a lot of us Giants fans. Yeah, I'm going to get deep with it. In living here now for, I don't know, a year and some change, I'm feeling that. Like, is San Francisco perfect? No. What city is perfect? We have our warts here, but like, it is. It's a gritty, resilient town, and it'll be back. And I think that's what's resonating with this ball club right now. I want to get to the reason why you are in love with this team. We got full phone lines right now. I'm going to let's go to Oscar in San Francisco. Oscar, you're on KNBR.
FP, thank you for saying what you're saying, man. I think a lot of it is true and a lot of it resonates. I ultimately think that winning baseball games is exciting, and it feels fun to watch a team win in different ways. Watching Barry Bonds smack home runs left and right, that was a lot of fun, but it feels in retrospect almost a little one-dimensional, just because you knew he was going to hit the long ball every other time that they would pitch to him. Whereas this team, you kind of have to play a little guessing game. Where are they going to win with a walk-off walk? Are they going to, pitch a shutout and score 3 runs? So I think that's one part of it. But ultimately, kind of building on what you're saying about the city has its warts, I think that this is a really proud town, man. And I think that a lot of people who see this narrative of the city, it hurts. And I think to have somebody going out every day, grinding and doing something positive and, really putting a good stamp out there with the city's name on it is really uplifting, and it gives you something to believe in.
Yeah, Oscar, well said, man. I'll defend this city till the day I die, man. I'm a San Franciscan for the first time in my life. I grew up a Giants fan, coming to all the games. I lived in Half Moon Bay the last time I was here. When I was doing the pre and post for the Giants, I actually lived at the Handlery Hotel, thanks to John Handlery, for a whole summer. A little shout out to John Handlery and his awesome commercials on KNBR. So, I've seen it change. I went back east for 11 years and came back, and there was a little, this has changed a little bit when I came back. Damn it, I love it here, and I'll defend this city. I do this when I'm having drinks with my friends. I defend San Francisco because I feel like it's getting a horrible rap nationwide, worldwide. I mean, you click on the BBC and they show the worst parts of the city and what's going on. And do we need to make some adjustments? Yeah, but I think every city needs to make an adjustments right now. And this team, for whatever reason, has captured our imagination based on the reasons I gave you. I don't know if I'm right. I could be way off on this. It could be way too deep for sports talk radio. It could be as simple as wins and losses and launch angle and exit velocity and spin rate. I don't know. It could be as simple as the relievers are buying into being bulk guys and not starters. It could be as simple as Farhan's done a great job of developing these guys and we're seeing the finished product. I think it's throw all these ingredients into a pot, including the crappy sidewalks that are dirty, including all the other stuff in this city that we have, and that's why this team resonates with us. Let's go to Mark in San Lorenzo. Mark, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, you got me all fired up, man. I was in the middle of clearing the drain in my kitchen sink, and I'm listening to the game, which was very short. It didn't last long. And then you came on and talked about last night how you got an overflow of fans calling in. But the reason I'm calling in tonight is because not only because you got me fired up to call in after I got my drain cleared, so I'm happy. I got it cleared and everything's running. But I love the Giants. I was born and raised in San Francisco. I'm 63 now, so I've loved them for many, many years. They've been my team. But the thing about this team that I enjoy, remember, when they would fall behind, they wouldn't catch up. And this year, they go down and they're not out.
They fight.
They come back.
They fight.
And they win games. Absolutely. They don't give up.
You know what, Mark? I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you keep going, but I'm going to interrupt for a second. When they were down 5-0 after the first inning tonight, I have so much confidence in this team. I thought they were going to come back. I did. I was like, how are they going to do it tonight? Five's a lot. Five's a lot. Yeah.
Look at JD. JD hits one off the wall, and the next guy up hits into a double play. What's his name? The man with the white hair. He hits into a double play. But my point is this, FP. I love this team because the relievers are awesome. They don't give up. They don't give up runs, so that you got a chance when they're pitching. The rookies that are coming up from the farm, they make a difference. They contribute, and there's a lot of them this year. You know, take Brandon Belt, for example, today on talk show radio this morning with the guys. There's two sports talk shows in the city, so I listen to both. But they're talking about why they gave up on Brandon and they put Lamont in there instead of Brandon Belt. Well, Brandon was hurt all the time. You couldn't rely on him. And Lamont was hurt last year. He didn't have a good year. But this year he's having a great year, and he's playing first base really good. The cat at third base is playing good, and now you have the rookies. You have the center fielder that's a rookie. That's why I'm fired up. And I bought 8 tickets for Monday night's game. It's going to be a fireworks night. They're coming back from a road trip. I hope they're not too tired. But I look forward to listening to the Giants and watching them now because they're exciting. And I think they're going to be good. I'm hoping they're going to be good all year. They can sustain this because using these bullpen games, can wear out their bullpen. That's the thing that worries me. They need to bring the starters in and go a few more innings than they're going right now.
You know what, Mark? I don't think the bullpen. I mean, Alex Wood went 5 innings last night. So just say he started, he would have went 5, and then you're going to go with 2 other relievers. That's just a normal game. We're just doing it in reverse. I don't think it's going to wear out the bullpen. I could be wrong. And I know
Look at Stripling. He came in tonight.
Yeah, he did.
We were impressed with Stripling, right?
Yeah, he did a nice job. And to me, it's like hats off to those guys wrapping their heads around roles they're not used to and not knowing when they're pitching and not like every 5th day I'm going to be a starter and coming in and not like pitching to the first hitter of the game. And so this is all like the other side of this is, well, they're professionals, FP. They make millions of dollars and they should do whatever they're told. Well, players are like slave to the routine. They love to like know when they're pitching. They love to know when they're starting. So this is like whether it's Andrew Bailey, the pitching coach, or Gabe Kapler or Farhan getting these guys to buy into this, and then they're successful because of the buy-in. That's, to me, the biggest story right now. And this just doesn't happen every day where you're like, I'm okay with this because we're winning. And I've been around these guys. So that's the one advantage I do have in traveling with the team and being in the clubhouse with these guys on the road a lot. They generally love each other. They like being around each other. They're always screwing around. They're having a good time. They get their work done every day in batting practice. I see them in the cage. I see them behind the scenes. I see some of the meetings they have. I sit with the manager in his office. Like, this is a team you can get excited about. I said that in spring training, too. This is a team you could get excited about it. They're putting their work in. Whatever happens this year, I said it in Scottsdale a million times, it's not going to be because of lack of effort. These guys put in a hard day's work every day, and I think you're starting to see that pay off. Minus tonight. They weren't going to win every game on the road the rest of the year. Mark, I got to bounce, man.
Okay, FP. Thank you for letting me talk to you for a while.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for calling. I should thank you guys. You don't thank me. I thank you for being a part of this show. Let's go to Steve in Albany. Steve, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, awesome show as always. For me, it's a couple things. One is the personality of the team. It's it seems to be like when you see interviews with these guys or listen to interviews with them, they seem to be all regular guys. There's not any, it doesn't seem like there's any knuckleheads. There's like, guys who just really believe in the team, believe in themselves, no pretension, just down to earth. And it's kind of like, when you love a TV drama, the plot could be amazing, but if you don't like the ensemble, then you don't give a darn, and you're not going to watch it, And the other thing is execution. They seem really smart and really well coached. It's such a treat to see guys going the opposite field now. Right-handers going to right field, left-handers going to left field. It's hard for teams to make adjustments or to use the scouting report when the hitters are doing things that they're not expected to do. And it seems to be like that about a bunch of things. They're just doing the little things that I remember when I was playing ball that I had to do and the guys around me had to do and the people I followed did. And it's great to see that back again. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. Thanks a lot, FP. You're really doing a great job.
You too, Steve. Thanks for calling. That was a great call. Let me get some text. 808 KNBR is the number. If you can get in right now, get in where you fit in. It looks like it's full phone lines, but give it a try. Everybody chiming in. The topic is, if you're just getting in your car, why do you love this team right now? And I know you do. We all do. We're in love with this baseball team right now. Why do you love it? My theory is way out there. It's super deep. They're gritty like the city is right now. They're gritty like the Embarcadero sidewalk. They're gritty like any sidewalk. You're the Fisherman's Wharf side. When Barkley said we need a power wash, we do. We just need like a big helicopter with a huge power wash, and I think we're good. 808 KNBR. I'm losing people now. The 224 chiming in. FP rolls in exclusive Pacific Heights and not with the riffraff in other parts of San Francisco. I do not roll in Pacific Heights. Although, whenever I drive through there, I can dream a little bit, right? Like, what does that guy do? What did you invent to get that house? Something. You're one of those, you're one of those tech nerds probably that drives a Lamborghini with a propeller hat on, with the top down. Good for you for being a quadrillionaire. No, I don't roll in Pacific Heights. I live under the Bay Bridge. Like, literally, I live under the Bay Bridge. Like, the Bay Bridge goes over where I live. And some nights I have to wear earplugs because of you idiots that do donuts on the Bay Bridge. Let me see. FP name dropping, need a comp suite at the Handlery. I've had comped at the Handlery since 2010, man. John and I are friends. Whenever I need John, he always comes through. He's the best. Let's go back to the phones. Who's been waiting? Let's go to Paul in Palo Alto. Paul, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP, how you doing, man?
Wonderful. How are you doing, Paul?
Hey, great, man. Loving the show. I got to say at the outset, I'm not a baseball fan. I'm a football fan. I'm a one sport kind of guy. But so listening to your show, and this really interested me when you brought this up about what motivates the fans or what do the fans love about the team. And then you were talking about like kind of the character of the fans, like how we're hard nosed, kind of the lunch pail, I forget the other adjectives you were using, but you were saying like it's like the coastline, how it's a jagged coastline. I was thinking rugged is how I would characterize it. There's no soft pebble beaches up here like LA or like Florida. This is hard country, and like you look at the Peninsula Hills, coming up from the beach, right? That's wild country. I mean, there's all kinds of wildlife in there. With it's cougar country, and back in the day, it was even grizzly bear country. If you can believe it. So and I think that extends to the people. The whole old Barbary Coast kind of, rough and tumble San Francisco,
Go to Sacramento.
native.
Sacramento's cougar country too, by the way, just a different kind of cougar. But go ahead.
So anyway, I as a Niner fan and a football fan, I can really identify with what you're talking about, the San Francisco people and the how those fans are. I mean, like you said, we've got the elitists, we've got the millionaire tech people and all of that, but then we also have the other side of that, the yin to that yang is the hard scrabble, San Francisco resilient, people. And like when I used to have season tickets back in the Montana days, and we used to have the rap back then that, the Niners are a finesse team. They're not tough. And, the fans are all, a bunch of Chardonnay drinking and brie cheese eating elitists and stuff. And it's like, yeah, but then too, we had the rough scrabble people too. And it's like, the Niners were always one of the toughest defensive teams in those days too. It's always,
dude, there was no wine and cheese in the green lot when I went to the games this year. The tailgates the Niners are throwing now are sick. Like it's like you better wear your helmet. You better wear a football helmet to the green lot. There was no wine and cheese. There was everything else, but there wasn't wine and cheese.
Oh, hey, and actually, one more thing I wanted to give you props for is your little discussion about the minor leagues and how that works. And like I said, I'm not a baseball fan. I mean, I'm a football fan, so I knew there was minor leagues, but I didn't know how it worked. And even though it's not my sport, it was interesting, and I paid attention to it because the way you described it, your enthusiasm and your interest in the game, it was very the storytelling was like cinematic. Like I could see the movie that you were directing there. So good job.
Thanks, Paul. Man. Thanks. I just got to do that when I announce a baseball game now. We're all set. Thanks for the call. Let's go to, let's see, bottom of the hour, we're going to take a break. I need to come up for air. 808 KNBR is the number. Got a couple phone lines open. You guys on hold, stay right there. It's not going to be a long commercial break. We'll be right back with your calls. The topic, if you're just getting into your car, is why are you in love with this Giants team? I threw a deep reason out there, but it could be way more simple than I threw out there. So I want to hear why you're in love with this team, because I know you are, based on the show we had last night, based on the win we had last night, based on what I'm seeing in the ballpark. This city, this region, the Bay Area is in love with the 2023 San Francisco Giants. I want to know why. And if you're not and you're still not buying in, I'll listen to you too next on the Sports Leader. They're gritty like the Embarcadero sidewalk. They're gritty like any sidewalk.
Tight left hamstring. You guys got that right? Not much more to report other than that. He went up against the wall, pushed off to throw, felt a little something. Right now it's day to day. Obviously, we'll see how he feels in the morning. Tomorrow? Not as of right now. We'll see how he feels in the morning and make a determination from there.
Don't bother me, Tony. I'm texting right now. 808 KNBR, so we got full phone lines. You guys are rocking it again tonight. I love you guys. We have the best listeners on all of sports talk radio. That's not a bunch of BS. I believe that. I tell everybody off the air, all my family, I'm like, I have the best listeners in all of sports talk radio. We have a family here. We have a community. You guys chime in every single night. You make my life exciting on the air. I love this show because of you guys. And I can't listen to myself talk for 4 hours every night. None of you guys could. It sucks. But when you guys call and we throw a topic out there and you chime in, you make me think. You make me kind of change my mind. The show goes how you guys want it to go. Somebody chime in the 442 Santangelo. You'll eventually upgrade your residence to Larry Bear neighborhood with a gigantic mansion in Pacific Heights. That's for damn sure. Well, let's hope so. Not with what I'm making right now, but we'll see as everything progresses, hopefully in the right direction. How much fun is it to talk about this team right now? Even though they lost tonight, full phone lines. Nobody's pissed off. Everybody's excited about the San Francisco Giants. And if you're just tuning in, I always got to kind of reset. So if you're just getting in your car, the topic on hand right now is, why are you in love with this team? What is doing it for you with the Giants right now? It's been different atmosphere at the ballpark. It was a different atmosphere on the show all of a sudden every night. The enthusiasm, the energy at the ballpark is tangible. The enthusiasm, energy from the calls all last night for 3 straight hours is tangible. So I couldn't sleep last night. I got home, I was calling everybody. Oh my gosh, it was a great show. Everybody's calling, everybody's fired up about this team. Let's go. And that's what we're seeing here again tonight. Let's go to Surfer Wes. Surfer Wes, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
FP. Surfer Wes is here, and I got an idea on the team, what you just said, but first I have some therapy help for you for your guys with hammies and knee problems and ankle problems and all that stuff in the joints. And so are you with me so far?
I'm listening.
Okay, so I've had both my hips and both my knees fully replaced because I am an old guy. And so this is what they do. There's this like a 6-pack size igloo container, and in the lid, it's got a pump and 2 hoses coming out of it. And the hoses go to a Velcro wrap that you can put around your ankle or your knee or against your hip.
Sounds kinky. I like it.
And what it does, well, not too exciting. And it circulates water that's like, you put water and ice in it. It circulates the water, and you can do this for like 12 hours at a time at about between 45 and 55 degrees, so you can handle it. It's not like really chill water, and it makes all the swelling go down really fast, and inflammation is the biggest problem in all these joint issues and stuff. So you can buy these things on Amazon. That's all anybody has to do is go to Amazon and look. And they're like $190. But, you know, I was working out again in a week for one knee and in 10 days for the other.
My dad needs that for his foot, Surfer West. What do you got on the Giants? Why is everybody in love with this team right now?
Oh, okay, here's the deal. First of all, I have a confession to make. I was born and raised a Dodger fan in L.A.
Well, we're going to hang up on you now, Surfer West. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
No, I have a way out. It's
okay.
Vin Scully's fault. Because if you're a little kid and you hear Vin Scully all the time, don't you love baseball?
Yeah, Vin Scully's the best, but you're a Dodger fan, Wes, and we appreciate you calling, but look out for a great white shark, buddy. That's all I can say.
Well, okay, but I'm an old guy now, so I was up here for 20 years before I became a Giants fan, and one day Dusty took over managing the Giants, and it hit me. Hey, you've secretly been liking the Giants, and Dusty can go from a good Dodger to a Giants manager. You think you could find it in your heart to cheer for the Giants? Yeah! So I was in. So that was in. Okay, so here's my thing about the team. It's not just the kids, because if they came up and stunk, we'd be griping, right? And it's not just the wins, because we've won, and the Warriors have kind of inoculated us about wins too, even more than the Giants did for 3 World Series. So you got these kids, and they all look like they belong. Like you said, they're gritty. They fight. They do stuff that they're not supposed to do at 21 or whatever age they are. And so you put those two together, because I heard you say about a couple days ago, you said you thought we were coming into the the real tough stretch here in the next few days. But I was thinking when you said that, yeah, but if you go back 2 weeks, if they wouldn't have started winning back then, this wouldn't be the most important section coming up. We'd just be like wallowing under 500. So I think it takes the kids, and it takes some wins. And so we're seeing that, and we're getting excited. Every time Schmidt comes up, I get excited. Every time Bailey, I'm just going, man, this guy's great. And so I'm all in, and that's why I think we're all so excited, FP. We're old guys, any of us, who can just appreciate youth coming up and having their turn.
All right, Wes, nicely said. And I'm glad I didn't hang up on you because a Dodger fan. Little update, Rockies 8, Dodgers 6 right now. And that's in the bottom, 4-run 6 for the Rockies. So the Dodgers are behind. Wes, thanks for the call, man. Thanks for waiting, buddy. And may you catch your dream wave tomorrow without a shark in the middle of it. I love to surf, but I just can't relax in the water. I just can't relax. It's just like a sea lion comes up next to me. I'm like, and it's cold, and there's sharks in the water, and we got a 1% chance of getting bit by a shark. Yeah, you got 0% chance if I stay on the shore. Let's go to Robert. Come on, FP, tighten up. Robert in San Jose. You're on KNBR. What's up?
Hey, FP. Good to hear you. I remember when you were on CSN Bay Area and you left to the Nationals. I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh, dang, we lost a good one. But, this team has been pretty amazing. I've been lucky to go to one game every week of the week of June. And, yeah, the first week that I was there, I remember at the end of the game, even though we won, I was like, screaming like, let's go Giants, walking down the stairwells. And there was nobody really getting a chant going with me. And then a week went by, I went to that Dog Day game, which was a blast. And I could feel the vibe starting to pick up again a little bit. And then this past week, I went on Wednesday night, and it was a Wednesday night game. There was a pretty big crowd there, but that energy you're talking about, that electricity was back in the building again. Like everybody was like cheering, everybody was shouting, everybody was doing different chants and whatnot. And I think a lot of it has to do with this team. It has kind of like the 2010 team. It has a mix of vets and it has a mix of rookies. And I think the rookies are really given a shot in the arm to us. And I think overall, I think the performance too behind everybody, that everybody's putting on. And you're talking about the work that the guys put in. You can see it. And the guys that are on the team right now. One caller talked about it earlier. They're kind of like normal, cool guys. I was walking my dog on the field, and Blake Sable happened to come out of the dugout, and I was like, hey, Blake, what's up? And he came over and he signed the ball for me and stuff, and it was just pretty cool. And the whole Giants organization is just a great organization. When I was a kid, I had a Make-A-Wish from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I had my room turned into a Giants room. And I got to be like the spokes kid for the Giants and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So they got to I got a whole bunch of memorabilia. I got to meet and greet the players. JT Snow had a snowpack that we went to go sit in and stuff like that. So just overall, hands down, the Giants it's great. It's a great time to be a Giants fan.
Robert, can I ask you, so you had cancer back in the day?
Yeah. I had leukemia 3 times.
And you've beaten it?
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing, dude. You just matter-of-factly said Make-A-Wish and buried the lead, dude. I mean, congratulations on that. Let's celebrate that. Round of applause. Way to go. Yeah. And you're good, right? Yeah. Knock on wood?
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. My name's Robbie, so my favorite player growing up was Robbie Thompson.
Same.
And he actually he called me in the hospital while I was going through treatment and had like a signed ball and the signed hat delivered to my hospital room and stuff. And then like I got to talk to Roger Craig, and then Matt Williams was my cousin's next door neighbor, so I got to play ball in the backyard with Matt Williams. So I grew up during that era. That was like, for me, my golden era. But this team, you were talking earlier about, Will Clark and all these greats, and then you said you got like choked up when it was 2010 and we won. I'm totally the same way. I was like, holy, didn't cuss. Holy smokes! We made it, and so I don't know. There's even like a sense of the torture aspect this season where it's like right on the verge. Like you know that we're like right there. And like we're always in it, we're like you said the other night, we're down, or even tonight we're down like 5, and there's a possibility of us coming back. So I like that vibe. That's what I want to keep rolling with.
Robert, I like your vibe. Call the show more, dude. Outstanding stuff tonight. Really appreciate it, and congratulations for beating cancer, man, and just being a wonderful person. That's the most important thing.
Thank you, FP.
Good
you
stuff.
Have a great show.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Robert. See, that's why I come into work right there. That's great crap right there. I want to say S, but I can't. Let's go to Aaron in Walnut Creek. Aaron, what's going on? How you doing tonight?
FP, good night. How you doing, man? Thank you for taking my call. Hey, the question is, why am I falling in love with this team? Okay, so just like every other caller, or not every other caller, but a couple callers, and even yourself, like I love the grind. I love the grind of the at-bats. Every at-bat to me is just such a smart, intelligent, thoughtful at-bat. And I even love the balance in the swings. Like, it doesn't seem like anybody's really coming out of their shoes when they're swinging. And I love the opposite field approach, just like a couple other callers have said. I just think, like, ever since, like, Major League Baseball decided to change things up with the illegal defense kind of setup, not having a shift in place, I thought, like, immediately when I thought of that, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like that's going to make hitters be hitters, like actually be smart and try to play the whole field. And initially, like, I felt like the Giants weren't really doing that, but like obviously in the last like month and a half, like they've just turned it on. And like, I mean, it's just amazing. I really appreciate whoever the batting coach is, and maybe you can speak upon this a little bit, but whoever the batting coach is, please give them a raise or a high 10 or something like that, because they're doing a great job with those boys. Hey, thank you again, FP. You did a great job, and I love you on the broadcast too. Thank you.
Thanks, dude. Justin, yeah, he does a great job, the Giants hitting coach. He's fantastic, and I think all the coaches, the Giants, I've never seen a staff work as hard as these guys do on a daily basis. Let's go to Johnny in Washington. Johnny, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP. Hey, hard to follow up with the Robert story. Great job on that.
Yeah, that was cool, wasn't it?
You know, it was. It was a good thing you let him go. And I'll get to my YouTube channel later. But the topic. Why do I love the Giants? And I got to tell you, the Jock Peterson story. Being a Dodger and then a Brave, wearing the pearls. It just didn't want him on the Giants team. But the human interest story and what you talked about coming through the minor leagues, it had nothing to do with that. But just that every ball player has their own story. And I'm really glad the way he has fit in with the clubhouse. And I think he's a great human interest story with his situation.
Yeah, the last caller said balanced swings. He's the one guy that does fall all over the place every time he swings, but he's trying to hit the ball a mile, and that's his job. But, yeah, I think he's a beloved teammate. All the guys, I don't think Jock really cares what the media thinks about him, and he just cares about what his teammates think about him and his family. And he's a deep dude, man, and he's a good teammate. I know all the guys love Jock Peterson, and then when you get to talk to him, he doesn't let a lot of people in, but when he finally lets you in, I was around a guy like that for a while, Jason Worth, and once he lets you in, you're in. And I'm a big fan of Jock Peterson and everything he's about. Like, would I like for him to maybe like run out a few more balls? But that's getting real nitpicky. Like, I just, you get to know the guy and you get to know what he's about. And he seems the most important thing is about being a good teammate, and he's a good teammate.
Yeah, and when a player comes from another team that was on a rivalry, you're like, no, I don't want this guy on my team. But I've come around in my old age to know that everybody has their own story, and he seems like a pretty cool dude.
He is, Johnny.
Anyway,
thanks for calling, my man. You got anything else?
Yeah, well, look me up on hashtag underwater basket weaving on YouTube.
If you missed it, just to reset for maybe people that weren't listening last night, we have this guy that calls and he goes, I'm so-and-so on a YouTube channel, and here's what I think. And he went on and on. It was 2 nights ago. And then last night he came on right out of the gate in the show, and I just cut him off. I said, look, and this is like the most mean I've been to a caller since I got back. I said, look, maybe we have it saved somewhere. I said, look, this is for fans. This show's for fans to come on and talk about what they're thinking about, whether it's the Giants, the Niners, the Warriors, sports in general. This isn't to promote your own YouTube channel. I'm not going to let you sit here and just read something off a script and then go put it on your YouTube channel that you got to go on KNBR and 50,000 watts and promote your thing. And I said, and I was kind of a jerk to him. But then the text line lit up, and you guys all have my back. It was amazing. It's like, whoa, FP's fired up tonight. Let's go to John in Salinas. John, you're on KNBR. What's going on, John?
Hey, we're down here in South County, Salinas, Central Coast, and in answer to your question, why we like this year's Giants, I had the opportunity last year to work at the San Jose Giant games, and the new rules in baseball, it took a while for those guys to get a grasp on them and how to use them, and you can see that happening with the Giants this year, and they're embracing them. Those come from behind wins can happen when that shot clock's going and people are rushing around. And that's one reason why I like the Giants. And, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Lorenzo. It's sad to see the A's go because that area is a sports town and it used to support both the Giants and the A's. So now we got to get behind the Giants. Sitting out in those center field bleachers is a blast at the stadium.
Yeah, the whole season's been a blast so far. We just got to keep on rolling. John in Salinas, this team is special. Thanks for the call, dude. I appreciate it. Let's go to Carlos in Berkeley before we get to the top of the hour. Carlos, you're on KNBR. What's up?
Hey, FP. Hey, listen, transition year, and I know it's not just because of the wonderful youth we have and some incredible players that have come up, but, and watching Bush Bochy coming back into the game, and then the bad off season on losing some great players that we thought we might have. It was kind of like, good gosh, are we really going to have a good year? And it was all up in the air, and it's just fun. It's baseball and whole new rules, but it's still fun. And I have to tell you, the other cool thing is you and some of the other up and comers on announcing. It's awesome. I'm missing a little of the travel, of course, with Group and Kite. But you guys are making it fun, man. So it's all transition, and it's wonderful. So thanks for what you're doing, and that's the reason I think it's awesome right now.
Oh, Carlos, that's really sweet of you, man. Thanks for the kind words. And if it's worth anything, I miss Kipe and Kruk traveling, too, with the ball club. But I think, just to be a tiny part of it's super, super flattering right now, and I'm very, very lucky for the opportunity. Carlos, thanks for all the kind words, and thanks for calling the show. Everybody calling tonight, 808 KNBR. We're going to take a quick break. We'll get back to the calls, the text messages. I'm way behind the texts. I want to read some of those. We have a perfect game in progress right now, by the way. Herman for the Yankees right now. Domingo Herman, he's through 8. Perfect against the Oakland A's. Yes, it still counts. A perfect game going on right across the bay against the Oakland. I shouldn't have taken a shot. That was terrible. He has 93 pitches. He struck out 9. Nobody has reached base. So we'll give you updates on that. Maybe we even cut to it coming up next on the Sports Leader.
I'm preparing my management team for all possibilities. If we don't get better, we have decisions to make at the trade deadline. And that's not my preferred end result. But I'm preparing all contingencies. And we'll see where it goes. It's on the players, right? I mean, they're veterans. They've been there before. I think these are players that have done it, and we'll see if they can get their act together and string together some wins. I can't pitch and I can't hit. Okay, so that's the way it goes, and we're hoping for the best.
That was Mets owner Steve Cohen talking about the state of the New York Mets. And I think it's relevant because the Giants are cruising over to New York tomorrow after the game to play the Mets. And it is on the players. I know you go out and try to buy a championship and it looks all cool and everybody gets excited in December because you're spending all this money on this guy, that guy. And, oh, look at what we're doing. Nobody's ever won a pennant in the month of December. And the Padres went out and spent money. The Mets went out and spent money. The Yankees signed Aaron Judge back. How are these teams doing right now? And when all the Giants fans were upset in December because of the Giants had a horrible offseason, everything you turned at, whether it was our station, whether it was MLB Network, whether it was ESPN, any outlet, the Giants had a horrible offseason. If you listen to my show, I said, what is that even? How do you have a horrible offseason when you haven't played a game? You have to play the games. You don't win a World Series in December. It can get a fan base excited. You can sell tickets. You saw the Padres Fan Fest. The streets were packed in the gas lamp. They had to turn people away. You saw all the season ticket sales. How's that going right now? They lost to Pittsburgh tonight. How's that going, winning the offseason? The Padres and the Mets won the offseason. The Giants didn't. How's that working out? The offseason doesn't mean crap. I hope we all learned a lesson. So if the Giants don't sign Shohei Ohtani this offseason, it would be cool if they did. I'd get excited. I'm not saying that I don't want him here. And if the Giants keep winning with a young base, he wants to win, and this bodes well for signing this dude. Just FYI. But when you talk about, the offseason, and if you remember back the visceral, and the fans and some, even the hosts on KNBR, and everybody was getting so pissed that the Giants didn't sign a superstar, and we didn't get this guy, and we didn't get that guy, and what's going on? Fire Farhan, fire. Let's all just take a deep breath and remember that it's not the end of the world. Yankees up 11-0, by the way. It's still the top of the ninth. Top of the ninth. Domingo Germán has a no-hitter going, and a perfect game going for the New York Yankees. We'll give you updates when the Yankees take the field for the bottom of the ninth. He's sitting by himself in the dugout right now. I'm watching. He's taking off his coat. Nobody's talking to him, but we have a perfect game alert going on right across the bridge right now. So we'll get to that. But back to my rant here. It just hit me today while I was having coffee. All these teams, they go out and spend $400 million and win a championship. It just doesn't work that way. You got to vibe as a team. You got to perform as a team. You got to love each other. You got to check your egos at the door. That's the thing the Yankees have done incredibly throughout all the years, whether it was Jeter and that group in the 2000s. They all checked their ego in at the door, and they didn't care who got credit. They didn't care who got the big contract. A lot of times when you sign a bunch of guys to big contracts, they all have a lot going on. They have a lot going on. The whole thing, more money, more problems. I got this going on over here. I'd love to come over today, but I got this, my agent, my therapist, my this, I got this, and da-da-da, and my family's here, and you just got so much going on with all this money that you just never really gel as a club, and that's what the Padres are doing. All of a sudden, you feel the pressure. We had this great offseason. The fan base is excited. We can't get it together. Rumor has it, and it's rumor, and I've read it, that the clubhouse in San Diego is just awful right now. All right, so there's the last out by the Yankees in the top of the ninth. We go to the bottom of the ninth in Oakland. It's 11-0 New York. Not one base runner has reached for the Oakland Athletics. I'll keep you updated on that as we move on here. So now we're in the season. The Giants are contenders. They got a good team. They're gelling. They're doing things that we all hoped they would do. By the way, they're not going to commercial break here, which is good. and a standing ovation as he takes them out. And all these things, that we're seeing happen are good. But what do you do at the trade deadline now if you're the Giants? Like, what do you think they need to do at 808 KNBR? Everyone's saying they need another starting pitcher. And okay, I get it. But here's my theory on the trade deadline. I could be way off. Can we cut to NBC Sports Bay Area on this and just play? We don't have it? We have MLB Network. Are they live at it? Okay, I think we should go live to this. Some way, somehow, we have to. We're a sports channel. We need to go live to this if it's a perfect game. But, what do the Giants need to do at the trade? It's the most ADD segment in the history of radio. What do the Giants, I'm all over the place. What do the Giants need to do on the trade deadline? I think you make your strength stronger. If your strength is your bullpen, you make your bullpen stronger. And now you have the best bullpen in all of baseball, which I think they already do. Like a guy like Aroldis Chapman would look really good in orange and black. But if you're talking about starting pitching, what pitcher can you get where you don't have to give up prospects? What's a pitcher that you can go out there that's half decent, not a superstar, that's going to give you innings, might be a bulk guy? And I was thinking about Patrick Corbin today. So I tweeted that out on my Twitter, and I got crushed, and people thought it was a good idea. Patrick Corbin threw 7 shutout against the Mariners today, struck out 9, didn't walk anybody. And I know he's got a big contract. I think $35 million in his last year next year, and whatever's left of $24 million this year. But if the Nationals pick up some of that, you don't have to give up a prospect. Why wouldn't you think about a guy that needs a purpose? Like, once he won a World Series with the Nationals, they haven't had a good team. He's going out there pitching for his numbers. I saw a guy that when he pitched for the bigger cause, when he pitched to win for the ball club, was pretty damn good. Do you want to go to this? All right, let's go to Oakland right now, and I'll help you out. It's going to be a television broadcast, so maybe I'll just chime in here. Leave my mic on. We're going to Oakland. There's a perfect game in progress.
Diaz, Langoliers, and Ruiz, by the way, the 3 batters, and there is that curveball.
He's going to die with it.
This is MLB Network and MLB Tonight.
I'm just throwing my breaking ball.
Just a thought. If we get there, Diaz, Langoliers, Ruiz, would Ruiz consider bunting?
No, not a chance.
Just throwing it out there. I know it's against the rules of baseball. He'd be vilified forever.
I'll meet you behind home plate at the end of Armand, I'll meet you. I'll get suspended for other reasons.
Diaz, the tapper to short. We are 2 outs away from a perfect game. Domingo Urban.
Here we go.
So perfect games are different because if you're on defense, you can't make an error. I've played in no-hitters before. But a perfect game is where you're really gripping on defense because you got to make the play, man. It's not you got to rob a hit like in a no-hitter. You got to make that routine play or else you're the reason why there wasn't a perfect game. All right, back out to Oakland.
Yes Network.
A fly out and a strikeout. Fly ball, shallow center, Bader in. Buckle up. Domingo Germán, 1 out away from forever.
This is a courtesy of the Yes Network. We have the Yankees Network on now. Give it a listen.
Uri Ruiz stands in his way. Grounded to third. Donaldson has it. There it is. Perfection for Domingo Germán. Domingo Germán has thrown the 24th perfect game in baseball history. The 4th perfect game in Yankees history. And you will always remember where you were June 28th of 2023. He did it. Wow. Oh my gosh, that was so incredible to watch. Good for him. An incredible outing. The defense, outstanding. How about Higgy? What a game. Oh my gosh. Great call, man. Great call.
He's hugging all of his teammates, as you would imagine. Everybody on the field. They did a big scrum around the mound. Still hugging his teammates. Josh Donaldson, there was a lot of white showing on that last play. It was a one-hopper to third. You could see the white hanging out of the glove. He picked it up and threw an accurate throw to first base.
Who is coming off back-to-back starts where he struggled so mightily you wondered if he was pitching for his spot in the rotation tonight. And he delivers a perfect game at the Oakland Coliseum.
Simply incredible on the way that he turned it around after the Seattle start and then comes into Oakland, a much-needed win, and he delivers a perfecto.
Domingo is perfecto on a Wednesday. Herman joining Yankee history and baseball history, only the 24th ever to throw a perfect game, and did so with relative ease. Sack 99 pitches.
He really did. He had great command of his off-speed pitches in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. When he fell behind ball 1 or ball 2, he was able to get back into the count using the breaking ball and the changeup.
So Herman going back to his dugout. It was a one-hopper to Josh Donaldson going to his left. Picked it up a couple of crow hops, threw it across the infield, and a pretty big crowd in Oakland tonight. That's the first perfect game since Felix Hernandez, August 15th, 2012, when he was a Mariner against the Rays. So what is that, 11 years since the last perfect game? I thought a perfect game would be impossible without the shift. I thought there's no way with all the holes now in the infield for ground balls to go through. And save your A's jokes. I mean, it's still, come on. Like, I know what you're thinking. But if you went to that and you're driving home, 808 KNBR, if you just witnessed history. It was across the bay. It was in Oakland. Domingo Herman with a 99 pitch, perfect game. He struck out 9. So June 13th, 2012, Matt Cain, you remember that, against the Astros. So these are the last 5 perfect games. Philip Humber, April 21st, 2012, for the White Sox. Roy Halladay against the Marlins in 2010. And, of course, Dallas Braden. Maybe we can get Dallas Braden on tonight. I don't think we have enough time by the time he's done with the broadcast. Maybe we get Dallas Braden on. I'm sure he has a lot of emotions going on tonight because he threw a perfect game in that ballpark. On Mother's Day, I believe, May 9th, 2010, if my memory serves me correct, because I remember him hugging his mom after the game. So 24 perfect games in the history of Major League Baseball. Is this interview? Do you have this interview, this post-game interview? No? It's with the catcher right now. We don't need to go to that. But a big crowd in Oakland. So if you're leaving the game and you're turned on KNBR, 808 KNBR if you just witnessed history tonight. Pretty big crowd. Let me go to the box score here in Oakland and see how many people were at that game tonight. Always, a big turnout when the Yankees are in town. But a perfect game if you're just tuned in. The Yankees win 11-0. They go to 44-36. The A's go to 21-61. But I'm going to the box score right now. Pretty big crowd in Oakland. Well, it says 12,479. Looked like more than that. Maybe they all just came down to the lower bowl to witness history. So a perfect game, the 24th in Major League history. All the players still out on the field. Nobody's retreated back to the clubhouse. Maybe it's because the clubhouse sucks. But they're all still standing. The Yankees players are standing on the field, kind of in a semicircle around Herman. Really cool moment. They could have left him out there for the post-game interview, but the whole team's still standing on the field. I love that. They want to be a part of history, the 24th perfect game in Major League history. All right, I got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back. If you're on your way home from the game, you just jumped in your car, you turn on KNBR, you witness history tonight, 808 KNBR. We'll take your calls next on the Sports Leader.
I had a one-hit shutout. That's the only one I've had. It was against the Giants when I was with Montreal. The only hit was, hey, you're bringing that up. See, you're jinxing me too.
Yep.
It was to Kurt Manwaring, the catcher.
Ah.
Giants, but it was in Montreal, and it was a 0-0 game in like the 4th or 5th, and I had a no-hitter. But he hit like a looping ball in the center, and FP was playing center field for us then. Well, that was the only hit of the game. I won 1-0, and after the game, I still remember FP was like, "Oh my gosh!" He goes, "If I'd have known you were going to throw a no hitter," he goes, "I probably could have caught that." He said, I would have had to dive, and he said, but it was a 0-0 game,
Oh,
and
my
he goes,
God.
I didn't want it to bounce on the turf, and he goes, "Gosh, if I'd have known you were going to throw a one hitter," he goes, "I probably could have caught it."
And I found the outing when it was August 27th, 1995. You only walked one.
Sorry, Woody. Hey, strike the guy out. The weird thing about that is I dove for everything. I used to get criticized by my teammates that I used to play things into a dive. So the fact that I didn't dive for it must have meant that it was it, what inning did he say it was? I don't even remember that, dude. Jeez, I ran into too many catchers. I don't even remember that. I used to joke with the Giants all the time. That was when we were at the Expos. I used to joke with Woody with the Giants, like, "Woody's pitching today. Get your track shoes on. It's going to be a lot of exercise in the outfield." And he would laugh at me. That's right before he go to do his bullpen before the game. He's the greatest teammate in the history of sports. Literally. "Oh, my God, Woody's pitching today. Oh, I'm going to be tired after the game. Get the ice bath ready. Woody's pitching." That was top of the 3rd inning? Come on, dude. You can't get mad at me for that. Woody was 5 and dive back in those days. How the hell did I know he was going complete game? One hitter. And I screwed up his only chance for a no-hitter. If you just missed it, Domingo Germán threw a perfect game against the Oakland Athletics tonight. The 24th perfect game in the history of Major League Baseball. He threw 99 pitches. He struck out 9 A's. And if you're driving home from the game right now, 808 KNBR, if you just witnessed history. So many jokes on the text line. You guys are hilarious. A tree fell in the woods tonight, FP. The 510 chiming in right now. All right. My son's texting me, Domingo Germán has a bad history, apparently. So maybe we'll slow down the perfect game. But it's still a perfect game, and he did pitch it. If you're coming home from the game, 808 KNBR is the number. Did you witness history? My close encounter with a perfect game was one in college. It was Alex Fernandez. Remember Alex Fernandez, a major league pitcher for a long time? I was at University of Miami, had a perfect game going. I was playing shortstop, and I was nervous from about the 7th inning on. And I knew there was no base runners. You start to think about it. You're like, wait, you're doing the math. Like, no base runners, no hits. You look at the scoreboard. Oh, this is a perfect game. I think we were talking about it in the dugout because we were just 20-year-old college kids at that point. And then the other one, as a broadcaster, Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer was in Washington, and it was against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I remember losing my mind in broadcast. And it was the one time where I kind of forgot I was on TV. Like you get into those grooves where you're so locked into a game, you forget there's a microphone there. And it was Jose Tabata. Do you guys remember this? It was 8 2/3. Nobody had reached base off Max Scherzer. And he was a pinch hitter in the game. So he came in to pinch hit. The score did not dictate. I can't remember what the score was, but his run meant nothing. It was a 1-2 pitch, a 2-2 pitch, a slider that backed up. Might have caught the inside corner, probably was inside, and he dropped his elbow into it and got hit by a pitch. And that broke up the perfect game. And I think if I remember right, I lost my mind on the air. Now, I was the guy that got hit by a lot of pitches. Sometimes it was just kind of a reflex. I want to say that I wouldn't have done that, but then I don't know if I would have just reflexed and done it because I just used to lean into a lot of pitches. But that's a hell of a way to break up a perfect game, don't you think? Like getting hit by a pitch. So, yes, somebody's asking, where do I find a Domingo Germán Yankees? I have no idea. And I did not know any history about him. So anyways, that's my son filling me in on a text message. If you're driving home from the game and you just witnessed history, Reminder, is that how I say it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Reminder, you're on KNBR, man. You were just there. You witnessed history.
I did. First of all, we got there in the third inning, and, it was 0-0. So I didn't even realize that if there was a walk given up, I was like, okay. Then I looked and noticed the batting order, and I was like, okay, there's no walk here because it's going straight in order, like 27 in a row. So at this point, I'm still very loyal to the A's, so I'm kind of cheering for a walk. We go to 3-2 in the eighth inning. I'm thinking, okay, at least we'll get a walk. And then they got a ground out, and then the Yankees fans are now starting to get more and more excited. Everyone's getting anxious. The A's fans are kind of sitting there seeing what's happening. And now we're going to the ninth, and everyone's standing. The A's fans are hoping. Yankees fans are praying, and there you go. 3 straight up and down, and it's over.
So you witnessed history tonight. You're an A's season ticket holder?
A's season ticket holder, yeah.
How are you feeling about how things are going right now? You can't be happy, right?
Well, of course. I'm not happy with anything that's happening. The A's organization and the fans would be there supporting them if we had an owner that would be willing to work with the city, and unfortunately that's not the case. So it's really frustrating, because I think the city of Oakland would be willing to step forward and do more if the owner would be a little more flexible, and they kind of, I think, sandbagged us along and used Las Vegas as a little bait for us. And I don't think the commissioner did us any service by, cheering on Fisher and the whole process of how it was going.
Yeah, and some of the quotes, too, were kind of ridiculous about, well, that's an average crowd, and about the whole reverse protest thing. And how long have you been an A's season ticket holder?
5 years now. Actually, ironically, I used to be a big-time Giants fan. Back even in the 70s with Johnny LeMaster and Jeffrey Leonard and Jack Clark and all those guys. So I waited years and years, and then they won the World Series in 2010, 12, 14. But I moved to Oakland in 2010, so I always supported the Giants. But then my loyalty started switching to Oakland, and not to say anything bad, but then I started seeing a lot of bandwagon San Francisco Giants fans come out and act like they've been there the whole time. So I went back to blue-collar A's and supporting, everything they've been doing. And unfortunately, we're going to lose a good baseball team and something that's been a Bay Area establishment for a long time.
Reminder, you know what the one thing that I saw the fan base change when they won, I think, the third World Series, and this is some of my friends that are Giants fans, and I know it's not a representation of most Giants fans, because I think Giants fans are some of the most intelligent, passionate, East Coast vibey fans in the world. That's a compliment. I had some of my friends say, can't they just win one at home one time? And they were serious about the 3 World Series. I'm like, wait. Yeah, it would just be nice if they'd win one at home once. Like, bitching about it. I'm like, wait a minute. Do you know how hard it is to win a World Series? But okay, we won 1 in 10. It was super organic, and everybody went nuts. It was I was part of that. I was in the parade. I was crying in the parade, as a matter of fact, growing up a Giants fan. And then 12, okay, well, we got 2 finally. This is great. Then after 14, literally, I've had probably more than 5 of my friends say, well, I just wish they could win one at home once. Come on, are you kidding me?
Hey, man, look, like you said, it was kind of their MO, right? Every even year and winning on the road, like, hey, I'll take the World Series. Yeah, it'd be great to have it at home. No, I appreciated all those teams, and I still do obviously cheer for the Giants, but it was like the expectations were like, oh, okay, we won World Series, and this is something normal, and, the diehard Giants fans have been around forever, and they have appreciated all that work, and so did I. And, so not to take anything away from that, but you know how it is as a fan. When your loyalties have been with a team for so long, and all of a sudden it becomes trendy. But anyway, getting back to that Yankees game, hats off to the Yankees. They did a great job. It's just an average pitcher. You don't think of anything like that happening, and you experience something that's historic. So.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience that, man. You're a loyal season ticket holder. Good job, man. And thanks for calling on the way home, and thanks for listening. Really appreciate it, Reminder.
All right, have a good night, you guys.
Thanks, dude. Great stuff. Let's go to Jim in El Dorado Hills. Jim, you're on KNBR. What's going on?
Hey, FP, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Were you at the game?
Yeah, we're heading back now. We were at the game. It was we recognized it in the 4th inning. It was kind of started to build a crescendo, and about the 7th inning, everybody knew. I think somewhere in the 8th inning, he had a 3-1 count, and I thought it pretty interesting that the 2 pitches he threw at 3-1 were both curveballs. I guess his fastball was having some issues, but it was tight. It was tight.
Jim, do you want to hear something interesting? Domingo Germán's last 3 outings on 6-16 against Boston. At Boston, he went 2 innings, gave up 7 runs on 7 hits. And on 6-22, the outing before tonight, he went 3 1/3 against the Mariners, gave up 8 runs on 8 hits, all earned. So tonight against Oakland, after those 2 starts where he gave up 15 runs on 15 hits in 5 1/3, he throws a perfect game against the A's.
Yeah, I have to look him up. He was 18-4 in 2019, but other than that, he hasn't done much.
Yeah. All right, Jim, you're breaking up. Jim, have a safe trip back to El Dorado Hills. That's my hometown, buddy. Have a safe trip back there.
I know that. Thanks, FP. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I grew up in El Dorado Hills, California. Before it was all bougie. It was cowboys and horses and cows and barbed wire fences and a bunch of blue collar. Now it's white collar, but it is what it is. It's a good place to live. It's a good place to raise some kids. 808 KNBR if you're at the game. I got a false text message that said Murph and Mac and the Water Boy are at the game. So if you guys are listening, call. I just texted Murph. He is not at the game. He's saying Marcus was at the game. So do you have Water Boys if he's sober enough to call after a game? Yeah, text him. Tell him to call in. I want to hear what happened at the game. Going to take a quick break, Tony. 808 KNBR is the number. On the other side, we'll take your calls if you were at the game. If you missed it, Domingo Germán pitched a perfect game against the Oakland A's. 99 pitches. He struck out 9. Not one base runner reached. That's a perfect game. The 24th in Major League history on the Sports Leader.
All that stands in the way of perfection for Domingo Germán is Estiori Ruiz, Oakland's number 9 hitter. And Germán, the righty, deals to the plate. Swung on, ground ball to third. Donaldson's up with it. He throws to first. Domingo Germán has pitched a perfect game. Germán being mobbed at home plate.
So if you missed it, Domingo Germán for the Oakland A's pitched the 24th perfect game in Major League history, 99 pitches. He struck out 9, and a perfect game in Oakland. Dallas Braden pitched the last perfect game in that ballpark, so that was cool. Remember, it was on Mother's Day? Tony sent me this text message. Where is it? Yeah, it was on Mother's Day. It was May 9th, 2010. I was here for that. I remember that. I was like, this guy seems like a good dude. I'm a big Dallas Braden fan. I think he's a wonderful human being. Maybe we can track him down for tomorrow's show. I'm sure he's going to be in big demand. But you remember June 13th, 2012, some guy named Matt Cain pitched one against the Houston Astros. So maybe we get some highlights of a Giants perfect game, the only one in franchise history, I believe. So 23 perfect games in Major League history until tonight, number 24 by Domingo Germán. I see some people were at the game. Rick in Stockton, you were at the game. What's going on, Rick? Thanks for calling.
How we doing, FT?
Doing good, man. How was the atmosphere there? What was the vibe like?
Well, you can't ask for much in the Coliseum these days, but a lot of Yankee fans in there. It was special those last couple of innings, I have to admit.
Well, if here's the thing, if I'm a fan and my team's the team that's being like shoved against in the perfect game, I'm rooting for the other team, right? Don't you just like change? You have to.
That was very much the case. There were a lot of A's fans standing up in that ballpark rooting for the guy. I will say our experience was a little bit hindered by a guy yelling bunt on the last at bat. We were disappointed by that.
You can't. Okay?
Got to show some decorum.
So there's unwritten rules in baseball, and I get in so many arguments with my friends and casual fans about this. Like, what are the unwritten rules in baseball, and why are there unwritten rules? And I at the risk of sounding old, and I don't want to do that, in an 11-0 game with a perfect game, if you lay down a bunt, you are like the biggest outcast in the history of Major League Baseball amongst your peers. On top of that, you can never set foot in the state, not the city, the state of New York the rest of your life for fear that you might not get out.
No, you most certainly could not. And the other thing we were talking about on our way out was, just the randomness about perfect games. You got obviously some big names that have done it before, but then you got guys like Philip Humber and Dallas Braden to an extent. Like, just it can happen any night. You just never know. And Germán is a guy that, has had a lot of ups and downs as a Yankee. And so, walking into the game tonight, wouldn't have expected it.
Yeah, nobody expects walking into a game. Although I will say that every time Max Scherzer took the mound when I was back east for 10 years, I was thinking that could happen. He was that dominant in the time that I saw him. And I was thinking no-hitter driving to the ballpark. And I did see him pitch 2 no-hitters. And he flirted with a perfect game until, like I said, the last hitter of the game, Jose Tabata, leaned into a pitch. But there are certain guys that you think it, but it's just so rare. Only 24 in the history of Major League Baseball. Unbelievable.
So I got a question for you, FT.
Sure.
Who do you think on this San Francisco Giants team could be the guy that gets a perfect game right now?
It's hard to say Logan Webb after tonight, but it has to be a guy that's sniffed the finish line before. That Gabe Kapler is going to not take out after 6 innings with a no-hitter. So it has to be somebody with resume and credential. I could see Alex Cobb with a nasty split on a given day doing it. I really could, because he's got swing and miss stuff with a 91-mile-an-hour split, and that's the hardest pitch to pick up as a hitter. I think if you're throwing your fastball command, my guess would be Alex Cobb.
Fair enough. How about, I just going off the random thing, like Keaton Wynn, maybe?
Yeah. Eventually, yes. He's got that guy's nasty, man. Like, he's going to be a good major league starter for me. He's got the build. He's got the body. So, yeah. We'll see.
All right.
All right. Well,
Thank
thanks.
you, FP.
Thanks for the
Appreciate it.
call. Thanks for the call. That's good stuff, Rick in Stockton. Let's go to Leo in Oakland. Leo, you were at the game tonight. What did you see besides a perfect game, Leo? What was the vibe like, and was it cool?
It was amazing. Out of all the games that I've been to in my entire life, I don't think I've seen anything anywhere crazy as that. I've lost my voice from screaming so much.
Are you an A's fan or a Yankees fan, Leo?
I'm a Yankees fan.
So you guys were going nuts tonight. It looked like everybody came down to the lower bowl as the game went on. Was there any plays that the Yankees made behind Herman that saved the perfect game?
That one Rizzo play where he dove at first.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I've been doing the show, so I wasn't paying close attention. Was it toward the line or in the hole?
There was a ground ball up the first base line, and he dove toward his right and made a play. It was a good play.
Did he get up and tag the bag himself, or did he flip it to Herman covering?
If I remember correctly, he flipped it.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, when I was in Oakland A in 2001, whenever the Yankees came into town, it was 50,000. I mean, it was a packed house every night. It was like playing on the road. Same with the Red Sox. Both of those. So there's lots of Yankees fans. How'd you grow up being a Yankees fan, Leo? Are you from back east?
No, I was born in San Francisco, but my dad's a diehard Yankees fan, so I kind of just went with him.
Isn't that funny? I hear that so many times that parents influence the teams we root for. And, my dad was a Tigers fan, and he grew up a Tigers fan. We're in Detroit, so I was a Tigers fan my whole life until we moved to California. And then I slowly transitioned into being a Giants fan based on, I got a little bit older. I was 6 when we moved out here. Probably by the time I was 8 or 9, all my friends were Giants fans, and we watched Giants games, and it just became like, well, I couldn't see the Tigers because there was no MLB package back in the day. You watched the local team on the local channels. And I think KTVU2 was the Giants station. And I don't even know how many games back in the day that were broadcast. I know it wasn't all 162 right now, but when a Giants game was on, we watched it. But you stayed loyal to your dad's team, the Yankees, even though you were born in San Francisco. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. I'm a Giants fan, too, though. It depends on who's winning more.
I love the honesty, dude. See, that's a sports fan that I can wrap my head around right there. Because most sports fans won't admit that. They're just like, "Oh, I'm a diehard." No, you're not. If you got one team that's winning more than the other, you're going to root for that team all day, every day. Leo, thanks for the call, man. Thanks for chiming in on the way home from the game. Really good stuff. Oh, that was his blinker. I thought somebody was laughing. That was his blinker. All right, we got one more segment of the show. No more calls tonight. We're done. You guys have been amazing, so we're going to take a quick break and wrap up the show on the other side. You're listening to The Sports Leader.
hard on the backhand. Rizzo to stop the flip, and Herman is there. Mark that one down, Anthony Rizzo.
So that was the one play that was, I guess, the closest play tonight in the perfect game. The Yankees with the perfect game against the A's. So many jokes on the text line right now. The A's are still a professional baseball team. You know, even though they're 40 games under 500, it's a perfect game. And if let's just put it this way, if Herman pitched a game against the San Jose Giants, I don't think he could pitch a perfect game. It's not that easy. Someone's going to run into one. Someone's going to make an error. You're going to walk somebody. Someone's just going to go up there and have a great eye. That's how hard it is to pitch a perfect game. I don't think it matters who it's against, but there's so many jokes about the A's on the text line right now. I'm not going to partake because I played for them and they were good to me. I'll never like really bash the A's. I think I'm just sad for A's fans because I felt like A's fans were super cool when I was there. They were super hardcore. They were great fans, and my time in Oakland was literally one of the best times, as you guys have probably heard ad nauseum on this show, one of my best experiences in baseball. It was a really good time. As we get ready to wrap up the show tonight, I just want to recap a little bit. You guys were amazing again tonight. I asked you why you're in love with the San Francisco Giants. That wasn't planned. It just kind of came up organically in the show. I mean, the Giants lost 6-1 tonight. They go to 10 games above 500. Did everybody else lose in the division? Do we have the finals yet? Let me chime in real quick with the scoreboard here and let you know what happened. Yeah, the Diamondbacks lost to the Rays 3-2, so that's good news. The Dodgers lost to the Rockies 9-8, and the Padres lost to the Pirates. So tonight's a push. All the teams in the National League West lost tonight, so who cares? 6-1. You see, that's what happens when you're going good as a ball club. When you lose, everybody else loses. Now you got to start winning when everybody else loses, and that's how you gain ground in this thing. But I just threw it out there, 808 KNBR, why you're in love with this team. Last night was a party. I've never been associated with a radio. I'm talking about when the Giants won the World Series. I have to, that's a recency thing, because the night the Giants won the World Series, I took phone calls till 1 a.m. and people were crying on the air. It was like, this is for my dad who never got to see it. This is for my mom who passed away. This is for, it was really cool. Maybe one of my favorite shows, the night the Giants won the World Series in 2010. We were on from the ballpark. I think it was Marty and I that did the show that night when the Giants won the World Series. But last night was comparable to that in the sense that I just felt the energy and electricity from you guys in how excited you are. The mixture of youth, the mixture of veterans, the bullpen, the starting pitching, everything's been solid for this team. And it's just been an exciting bunch to watch, especially with Patrick Bailey and the emergence of Patrick Bailey. So what, you got the Gregor Blanco play to end the Matt game? Play that real quick on the way out. Yeah, June 13th, 2012 against the Astros, a night we'll all never forget as Giants fans. All right, I want to thank everybody tonight. The calls were amazing. You guys are the best listeners in all of Sports Talk Radio. Great stuff tonight. Tony, great job on the other side of the glass, booking the guests. We had a great time tonight. You guys were amazing. We'll be back tomorrow night after the Giants beat the Blue Jays 47-2. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be like a Canadian Football League game. It's going to be an awesome win as they go to New York and sweep the Mets after that. So a perfect game tonight in baseball, the 24th in Major League history. But Domingo Herman against the A's. We talked about why you're in love with this team tonight. 808 KNBR was on fire again. You guys are great. And I am out of here. I'll be back after the game tomorrow night. We'll recap a Giants win. Thanks to everybody for calling tonight. You guys are the best. And like I say on the way out every single night, swing hard in case you hit it on the Sports Leader.